That Rod Black, who was originally scheduled to call this game, is back home with his family in Midland, Ontario. Rod's father-in-law, Bill Nibbs, passed away earlier this week. Our best wishes go out to Rod, his wife Nancy, and the rest of their family. So you're going to have to settle for me. Leif Pedersen will be doing all the talking.
Fine.
We should let you know that it is a beautiful night for football here at Mosaic Stadium, 22 degrees. The wind coming out of the southeast at 20 kilometers an hour, and the Riders have chose to take the win in the second quarter in what should be, as we mentioned, a beautiful night for football and a must-win game for Danny Machocha and his Edmonton Eskimos. Now, Machocha is not pulling any punches. He knows just how much is on the line in this game, including potentially his future in the Edmonton organization. On the other side, Danny Barrett, he knows how much the Saskatchewan fans would love to put a nail in Edmonton's coffin, but he's looking ahead of himself in the standings. He still thinks Calgary is catchable after they lost today and believes they can have a home playoff date here in Regina.
Well, and I think that's something that this team has to set their sights on. They're 2 games behind the Stampeders after their loss in Toronto this afternoon. So lots of things on the line tonight as we get underway.
The opening kickoff taken by Rob LeBlanc, and he just gets a couple of yards on the return where Edmonton will take over 1st and 10 at their own 37-yard line. Your starting lineups are brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast.
And there's been a lot of heartburn for Edmonton offensively, although Ricky Ray leading the league in passing with almost 4,000 yards. I think Troy Davis has to carry the football a little bit more. And, you know, Glenn Suter said it best in our opening. Jason Tucker has to be a factor. He will be matched up on Eddie Davis, a patchwork offensive line. Patrick Kambongo, the rookie tackle on the right side. I think he's going to have his hands full with Perry and Jureniak against him.
And as you mentioned, they've got to run the ball, and Troy Davis gets the first carry. Not much gain on that play. Let's take a look at the starters on defense for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and a really tough defense to run against, mainly because of the 2 tackles, Scott Schultz and Nate Davis. They plug up the holes, and that allows Fred Perry and Terrell Jureniak to come off the edges. Perry with a league-leading sacks at 13. In the middle, Maurice Lloyd gets the start at middle linebacker. We talked about Eddie Davis. He will mostly work on Jason Tucker on the weak side of the field tonight, but a secondary that does a pretty darn good job.
A slight loss on that last play, which brings up 2nd and a long 10. Ray drops back to pass, looks out to the right side, and he's got Mookie Mitchell good enough for a first down at around the 50-yard line.
What a great read by Mookie Mitchell. He read zone initially here, and Mookie Mitchell, the inside receiver to the wide side of the field, and he just does a beautiful job to just get down right into the soft spot there. See the hole? That's where he sits. Ricky Ray throws the ball into that open hole in the zone coverage, expecting Mookie Mitchell to be there. He was, and a nice initial pickup on 2nd and long for Ricky Ray and his offense.
Jackie Mitchell with the tackle after a gain of 14 yards, 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. Ray hands off again, right side to Davis. He manages to find his way through that line for about 3, possibly 4 yards.
No, tough season for Ricky Ray this year. He's thrown a lot of interceptions, and in fact, the last few seasons he's thrown more than he did at the beginning of his career, but this year his numbers, 16 touchdown passes, 15 interceptions, and, you know, this is a Edmonton team that historically doesn't beat themselves, but this year -11 in the takeaway giveaway category, and to me that's a huge reason why they've only won 4 games.
Ray will likely pass the 4,000-yard mark on the season, but he doesn't have a lot to show for it. The offense is averaging under 20 points per game. Ray in trouble, gets the ball away, and it goes incomplete to the left side to Troy Davis. Ray wise to avoid the sack there as Kimwana Jones actually make that Maurice Lloyd, the new linebacker, the new starting linebacker, getting the pressure on that play.
And that was all coverage downfield, Farhan, because Scott Schultz, they got pressure up front, but initially pretty good protection. Okay, the ball could be gone right now. Now that's a coverage play by the secondary. Good pressure finally from the front four of Saskatchewan, but the secondary really shut down that Edmonton receiving corps.
3rd down punting situation for the Eskimos. Sean Fleming back to punt into the wind. Jason Armstead back at his own 5-yard line. He'll take it. Manages to get out to the 10, then loses yardage. And the Eskimos, when we come back, will take over, make that the Riders in very tough field position.
Dubuck, the injured Edmonton Eskimo, on that last play on the kick cover, and really nobody touched him as he was coming down the field. He just all of a sudden grabbed for the ankle. Just let it roll as he comes into the picture. Here he is. coming in right there, and I'm not sure if somebody just stepped on him on a high ankle or not. Tough start for the Saskatchewan Roughriders back on their own 10-yard line, and if there's one area that's been tough for Edmonton this year, it's been defensively. Their numbers are horrendous from a year ago, and if they're going to win this football game tonight, this group has to really tighten it up.
Sean Fleming with a 52-yard punt, pinning the Riders deep. Kerry Joseph sprints out on play action, and he finds his newest favorite receiver, Andy Fantus, the star of last week's game. Let's take a look at the Riders starting offensively.
Well, Kerry Joseph, 58%, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, pretty much as you might expect. Only 5 and 6 as a starter, though, a little worrisome to me. Kenton Keith, I think they go as well as he goes on the ground. And Yo Murphy, his second game back out of retirement. And you see Andy Fantus getting his first start. Gene Mikowski, 12-year veteran. This offensive line has gone from veteran to aging to back to solid again.
Fantus, again, the star of last week's game. They've been talking about him in the giant all week. Here's the other star, Kenton Keith. We've got a flag on the play as he cuts it back to the 50-yard line. A good gain, but it's going to be called back. Looks like holding the call against the Riders.
Well, I talked about Kenton Keith, and so the Roughriders go according to his rushing numbers, and you'll see what they've done in the last 5 games.
Holding, Saskatchewan 54.
Without question, when he has 100 yards plus, they are a much different team, as you see by this graphic. Jeremy O'Day, the center, gets called for the hold, and that was really a late call because Kenton Keith was well into the secondary of Edmonton before that flag came out.
Tough call. It's going to make it first and 20 yards to go back at the 19-yard line for the Riders. Not the situation Kerry Joseph wanted to start this game in. 5 receivers into the game. Actually, Chris Zarka in at fullback along with Keith. Joseph drops back to pass. Looking for Armstead, and he overthrows him at the 35-yard line. Let's take a look at the Eskimos defense.
Well, still a solid group up front. Adam Braidwood is a rookie, having just a terrific year, and that front four, they've gone from hot and cold. A few weeks ago against Calgary, they could do no wrong. Some fumble recoveries for touchdowns. A.J. Gass, once again, his 5th start as the middle linebacker. In the secondary tonight, big change. Roosevelt Williams will start in the corner in place of Keogh Craver. This week, they kind of had 3 guys going for 2 spots. Felt like Craver wasn't getting the job done, so he sits.
Danny Machocha says this is a production business. If you don't produce, we're making changes.
Can't argue with that.
2nd and 20 into a bit of a breeze here for Kerry Joseph. He's facing pressure, looks for Dominguez, intercepted by Shannon Garrett. Still on his feet, gets brought down by Grant at the 29-yard line, and the Eskimos will take over in great field position.
Well, the Eskimos, who's really struggled this year defensively in the takeaway department, they just haven't made it hectic for a lot of teams. Get a nice break early. 2nd interception of the year by Shannon Garrett, and really a ball that I believe deep in his own end. When you're trying to protect the football, Kerry Joseph probably shouldn't have thrown. He had pressure coming, and the hit forced the ball to go high, and there's Shannon Garrett in behind Dominguez with the interception. But make this only the 7th interception of the year for this secondary, and you know, when you look at areas where they struggle, they just haven't taken the ball away, but they've got a great opportunity here early in this game.
A.J. Gass with the pressure on the play. Great field position for Ricky Ray to start with his offense. He looks out to the right side where he has got a wide open Pat Woodcock, and he drops it. And that is not what a team struggling to make the playoffs needs right now.
Well, no, they don't. And for Woodcock, he's getting a chance to play tonight and to start tonight because Trevor Gaylor is not in the lineup, but here he is, and what he does is just sit right out here in the zone. Everybody clears out deep, so hey, this is the right read for Ricky Ray. Look at Saskatchewan. They all fall off. They leave old Woodcock out there by himself, but mercy me, you've got to make those catches. And really, Pat Woodcock has struggled since he left the Montreal Alouettes, came over to Ottawa as a free agent. You know, dispersal draft, now free agent comes out to Edmonton, and if you're going to hang on for a long period of time, you better catch those footballs.
And he's replacing Trevor Gaylor, who's sitting because he dropped the football. Back out into the flat, Woodcock catches this one, tries to spin away from a tackle, but he can't get it done. He is short of a first down. Gain of 2, maybe 3 on the play.
Pretty conservative play by Ricky Ray there. You've got the turnover by Garrett. You'd love to get some momentum on your side early in this game. You're on the road. You have not won a road game this year. They're 0-6. I think sometimes you got to take a little more than that. I know it's second and long and all that stuff, but I think you want to try to get more than just a Sean Fleming field goal attempt at this stage after the big play on defense.
A 34-yard field goal attempt into the breeze for Sean Fleming. Kick is up, and it's good. The Eskimos draw first blood in a must-win game. Was into the wind, actually was with the wind. The Riders will have the wind in the second quarter. And Edmonton with the early 3-0 lead, really thanks to Shannon Garrett's interception. Riders take over first and 10 at their own 35. Fumble in the backfield. Looks like Edmonton's got it. No, it looks like the Riders have recovered. Second down, a big break right there for the Riders. Gene Mikowski recovers his own fumble.
Well, J.R. LaRose, the middle safety, comes right up 43. There you see him on the line of scrimmage right there. He's going to get in when the handoff is made to Kenton Keith, and I think Kenton Keith saw that coming, took his eye off the football, and just missed the exchange. So, you know, this Edmonton defense already, you know, they get a one pick and another big play right away.
Second and 11. Joseph drops back to pass. Penalty flags on the play. Swings it out to Keith. Close to first down yardage. Looks like he's got it. Let's see what the penalty flag is.
I think J.R. LaRose, 43, the middle safety, coming again on the blitz. Just got in there a little too quickly.
If it is offside, it will likely be declined, and Saskatchewan will have the first down after a gain of 11 yards on the play.
And again, you know, great call, anticipating a lot of pressure up the middle. Two people blitzing on the middle, and then
Offside.
they go outside
Edmonton,
to Kenton
number
Keith.
43, declined. First down.
And you're right, Leaf, it was J.R. LaRose, and the Riders, as you said, they needed to do. They're getting Kenton Keith involved early in this game.
Well, one of the things that I always like, and, you know, this is what Toronto did when Adam Rita took over as offensive coordinator this year, and his philosophy was, get the ball quickly to your playmakers. Well, get the ball quickly to Kenton Keith, whether it's on the ground or swing pass out of the backfield, and well, more often than not, a lot of good things are going to happen.
This time, the fake to Keith. Joseph looking to keep it. He's got all sorts of room in front of him. Has the first down. Crosses Edmonton's 50 out of bounds at the 49. LaRose forcing him out of bounds after a gain of 15 yards.
Well, I love the double tight ends for Saskatchewan. I think it sets up a lot of opportunities for Kerry Joseph, either to establish the running game or to run with the football himself. And from double tight ends, you get, here's Chris Zarka right on the end man on the line of scrimmage, and he gets to work on Gerald Dixon. And watch how he just stays with his block. The fake there now, Joseph, he's got some options, either throw or there again. There's the block downfield on Dixon. And now this is some easy running room for Kerry Joseph. Remember, he had 1,000 yards on the ground last year, so he can surely get the job done that way.
This time another fake to Keith. Joseph looking out to Chris Zarka in the flat. He's got the reception, gain of about 4, maybe 5 before he runs out of bounds. Malcolm Frank on the coverage.
Well, again, with a good rushing team as Saskatchewan is, you know, they have about 135 yards a game on the ground, which is number 2 in the league. You're going to get play action opportunities. And, you know, Joseph just ran. He's tried to establish Keith early. Now, again, play action. Zarka in the flat is always a good bet. Lead blocker, fake that, and go out in the flat. Pretty easy ball to complete.
Second and 4 now. Back with the 2 tight end formation for the Riders. Keith the lone back. Joseph fakes the option, drops back. And nobody home. He looks for Dominguez, and that pass is underthrown. Dominguez complaining that there should have been a penalty on the play.
Well, again, play action on trying to get the home run to Dominguez. It looks like they faked the option to Keith, and they're hoping that Dominguez on the hook and go can get in behind Malcolm Frank, but he had great coverage, and Joseph actually threw the ball behind Dominguez, hoping he could adjust to it, which he couldn't.
Luka Conji now on to punt for the Riders.
And he had difficulty in the warm-up. You and I were down the field and into the wind. I mean, he's a great young field goal kicker, but punting still is not his strong suit.
38.5 yards per punt average. That's the lowest among regular punters in the CFL.
Yeah, I think the 33-yard net is the part that really scares me, though, when I look at a team like this.
Conji's kick taken by Tompkins at the 11-yard line. Breaks a few tackles, but can't get away. Now, there's been a lot of talk during the past week about what's happened in Edmonton. A players-only meeting as the players have tried to air out any potential differences, try to bring the locker room back together. Here's what Ed Hervey had to say about what went on in that meeting.
What we had to find out about our room was, are we still on the same page? You know, are we going to fight this out, or are there going to be guys that are going to be giving up and looking forward to booking their trips home? And it was also an issue of, you know, are we going to allow people to question our manhood and our pride?
Leaf, do you take much from players-only meetings?
Oh, I think sometimes it's a good idea to have your leaders just, you know, have a real good, strong chat with the team and see if, in fact, that they're all focusing on the same things. And, you know, some of those meetings are good to air some laundry. I think at times it's a good thing to have them, and probably for Edmonton, we'll see tonight. You know, they played pretty well in the first quarter already, and I think one of the things that they took out of that was to have their leaders, and Ed Hervey certainly is one, to take some of the things out of that meeting and then go and speak to the coaches and tell them, hey guys, here's what we're thinking, and does this fit with your thinking? And I think it's healthy if it's done in the right light, not just a carb session on everybody.
Troy Davis with a 3-yard gain on that last run. Ray drops back on 2nd and 7, looking for Hervey. That one almost picked off. Omar Morgan almost had it, and if he catches that, he goes the other way.
Well, and Omar Morgan has the uncanny ability to backpedal and read into the backfield at the same time. Watch Omar Morgan. Okay, he's watching receiver, watch receiver. Now he's looking into the backfield. The ball in the air as he broke on it, and, you know, Hervey actually kept him from making that interception. And Omar still looking for his first of the year, but again, that ball, when you throw on timing, you better let it go quickly, and Ricky Ray was just a fraction late.
So the Eskimos will have to punt. Sean Fleming standing back at his own 6-yard line. Dominic Davis back at his own 45. End-over-end kick. Davis chasing it to his own 34. Not much room. He goes down after a short gain. When we come back, the Riders take over at their own 38. Riders take over at their own 38, 1st and 10, still looking for their first points of the game. This time fakes the sweep to Armstead, gives to Ken Keith. Not much room there. Alston, the first man in. LaRose also in on the play. Singor Mobley wraps him up after a 4-yard gain. And let's send it down to the third member of our broadcast team, Ray Morrison.
Farhan, I was lucky enough to spend some time with Andy Fantuz yesterday. What a catch he made last weekend, the overtime catch against the BC Lions. And he described it as what it would do more for the team than himself. He said his first reaction was to look around for a flag. Danny Barrett described that big touchdown catch as a walk-off home run. He says now that he's a legitimate part of this offense, there's no double teaming any other receiver because Fantuz can be a legitimate threat for him.
We're talking about Fantuz as possibly the next Jason Claremont or even the next Ray Elgard. And sure enough, on cue, Fantuz the intended target, and he brings that ball down good enough for a first down.
Well, what Andy Fantuz had to learn early in the season was how to read coverage on the run, because in university he just didn't have to make a lot of changes, but here he reads zone. Now look at him, he stops right down in that hole right there, doesn't run into the corner on the outside Williams. So hey, that was a pretty good adjustment by a first-year receiver, and trust me folks, that's one of the toughest things to learn, is when you run hard through the zone and when you make those little stops, and he did a nice job right there.
Nice play by the Heck Crichton Trophy winner from last year. This time Armstead gets the ball in the sweep. He's got some room on the left side, brought down just shy of the first down. Roosevelt Williams, making just his second start, makes the tackle on that play, and he's just about a foot short. And Andy Fantuz again front and center in this play, Leaf.
Well, he had a good block to the outside, and you're going to get a look at him in action right here. Jason Armstead, a lot of different formations, and as Fantuz comes back to the inside, he gets a great block there on Marcus Wynn. He was in at linebacker, and Fantuz at 6'4", 220, when he decides to come back in and wall somebody off, not only can he do that, but as you saw, he really laid Wynn right out.
Looks like they're going to measure this one.
Boy, the Saskatchewan Roughriders so far in this first quarter using a lot of motion to try to influence the middle linebacker. And Quincy Stewart that time went with the motion, and he had no shot to make the play to the outside. So a lot of times, for teams, they use motion to try to get an early read on what the coverage is going to be. If somebody runs with a guy, well, more often than not, you're expecting man, and then if you run motion, you're trying to get a linebacker or someone to move just a little bit to that motion side that you get a good blocking angle on it. So a lot of different reasons why you use motion to get an early key.
And that gain was good enough for a first down by almost a full yard. And that fly sweep look, that receiver sweep, has become a bigger part of the offense for the Riders in the last 2 weeks. This time another tight end in the game here for the Riders. To Kevin Keith. Breaks the first tackle in the backfield. Singor Mobley has him wrapped up after a gain of 6 yards.
Well, Saskatchewan Roughriders historically, they always run the football well. This year they're second in the league at about 134 a game. A year ago they finished the season at 135 a game, so they're very consistent in that area. Kenton Keith, of course, we talked earlier, Farhan, when they establish him, I mean, he is a force on the ground. I mean, here's a guy with a career 6.3 yards per carry average. I mean, that is phenomenal in this league, and so you know what, more often than not, he gets the job done on the ground.
2nd and 4. Joseph with the short drop, looks out to the left side, and he's got Yo Murphy. Murphy is leading receiver from last week's game with 5 catches for 99 yards.
Well, I think it's interesting to have Yo back out of retirement. He's just been sitting on the sofa waiting for a call, and he got the call. Last year, of course, played with the Ottawa Renegades. But, I mean, here's a guy who's still got some great skills. He's got some good wheels, and now when you look at this receiving core with Dominguez, Armstead, Yo Murphy, all with some great speed, and Andy Fantuz, a nice young possession receiver who's a huge target, mixing Corey Grant and Jason French. I mean, this is a pretty good group.
Murphy actually had 7 receptions for 99 yards last week. Here's the 6th play of this drive. Joseph rolls right, looks back to the left side, looking for Fantuz, and we have got pass interference in the end zone.
I love this call. I love rolling to the wide side of the field and then throwing backside to your slot back on the corner. I mean, it's a play Edmonton loves to use to Tucker, but here to Fantuz. Now, the interesting thing at the end, there he sets him up to the outside, gets Garrett turned around, but watch how Fantuz creates the collision there. He slowed down just enough that Garrett was going to have to bump into him. And, that's a pretty heads-up play for a rookie to make sure he creates that contact. Hey, he knows at 6'4", 220, Garrett's not going to push him over, but he creates the contact, gets the flag, and first to go at the 1. Not bad.
So the Riders knocking on the door, trying to take the lead here. All the receivers motion out. Joseph, quarterback sneak, no, fakes it, and a touchdown. Unbelievable. Is that Terrell Juriniak with that touchdown? Rob Lazio is checked in with a different number, makes the catch for the touchdown. The Riders steal a play out of the Lions playbook where they throw the touchdown to Brent Johnson on that short yardage situation, and every lineman's dream, Leaf.
Well, this is. I mean, they spread the backfield out. Everybody's taking quarterback sneak, and watch Gary Joseph. He's going to stick his nose up in there and then step back, and Lazio on the left side. You know what? Hey, even an offensive lineman's going to make that catch every time. That was a nice-looking play, fooled everybody, and for Rob Lazio, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they brought him in that situation and changed up numbers because the Riders don't have a 78 listed on the roster. Luka Kanji in for the BAT, and it's good. The Riders a little razzle-dazzle to take an early lead. Is 72 yards in just under 4 minutes. Not a bad drive into the win for the Riders, Leaf.
Well, it was a great drive, and they did a lot of different things well on that drive. Of course, the big interference call on Shannon Garrett was the key play to set up first and goal at the 1. But how about Rob Lazio there? A pretty happy guy. Gets the touchdown reception. Pretty neat play. And I think 7 plays, 72 yards. Well executed into the win.
And the Rider faithful love this because, as we mentioned, the fans here in Regina would love nothing better Then to put that final nail in the Edmonton Eskimos' coffin, that was Lazio's first ever career catch. I'm sure that's not a surprise to many folks. Pat Woodcock with the return at his own 35. Goes to the right side, not much room there. Gain of 8 yards on the play after the 40-yard kickoff along the ground by Luka Konji.
Well, the last time these two teams met, those were the numbers for Ricky Ray. I mean, a pretty good percentage, 238. Not a spectacular day for him. He's had 8 300-yard games so far this year. Offense has not really been the problem for this team. It's been all defense and the big plays that the defense has given up at terrible times.
Edmonton with 4 receivers to the left side. They give to Troy Davis. Got a penalty flag on the play, and Davis is wrapped up for a loss. Terrell Juriniak in the backfield.
Well, one of the things this Saskatchewan front four does so well is get initial penetration. We'll hear the call.
Saskatchewan, number 98, 5-yard penalty. First time repeated.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why Nate Davis gets called for the offside. But, I mean, this is a group that clearly gets off the football well. And, you know, to me, it's, you know, Juriniak 7 sacks, Perry 13 sacks is a direct relationship to how well Scott Schultz and Nate Davis push the pocket.
Nate Davis is so big, how does he stay onside? They should give him extra room at 340, 350 pounds.
He is a load.
Ray with a quick draw, looks out to the right side, finds Ed Hervey, good enough for a first down at midfield. Gain of 7 on the play, nice high percentage pass for Ricky Ray.
Well, and again, I'd like to see Ricky Ray try. There's 2 people, I mean, you got to get involved. I mean, Mookie Mitchell's a good possession guy, and he's great to have in your receiving core, but it's got to be Jason Tucker. He's your big play guy whenever you need one. And Ed Hervey, I mean, he can still stretch a defense. People say, wow, he's lost a step. You know what? I don't believe that. I mean, I still think this guy's a great sprinter and a great asset to this offense.
Ray drops back to pass, looking deep, goes underneath. And I believe that's Matthew Bertrand who fumbles the ball, and Saskatchewan has it at their own 45-yard line.
Well, Reggie Hunt comes up with a fumble recovery, and a good read by Ricky Ray initially because he wanted to go downfield, and he just had no opportunity to get down there, so he dumps it off to Matthew Bertrand, who's been out with an injury. He's back in the game tonight. I mean, this is a good read. I mean, give it to the fullback, let him go with it, but there you see from behind, the hit from behind, it's Fred Perry, knocks the ball loose. Reggie Hunt with the recovery, and the Riders get a turnover of their own.
And that turnover ratio has been a big problem for Edmonton all season long.
Yeah, again, you know, that's been their real killer. You're right, Farhan. Minus 11, now minus, well, they're back to minus 11 because they got one, gave one in this game.
Great field position again. The Riders back with 2 tight ends. Joseph looking right, finds Armstead across midfield. Should be good enough for the first down. He's brought down by Roosevelt Williams. And that's the final play of the quarter. The Riders 7-3, and they are marching again. Looks like they may measure this one before the quarter ends. Close to first down yardage. Thought he might have had the spot, but should be close. First down by the nose of the football. That's it. The score after 1 quarter of play. The Riders 7, Edmonton 3. 15 minutes. It looks like Saskatchewan could be up by more than just 4 points, Leaf.
Well, I thought they played a pretty clean first quarter, you know, after Edmonton got off to the great start with the Garrett interception. But yardage, you know, the first downs, 9 first downs in a quarter, especially the first quarter going into the win. I mean, that's a very good quarter for Saskatchewan. And, you know, Andy Fantus with a couple of big plays. So I think Saskatchewan should be happy with the first quarter. Edmonton, they've had some chances, but kind of typical of where their season's been.
And you always talk about running the football. They got Kenton Keith involved early.
Oh, yeah, I always think that's important. You know, sometimes the statistics don't always say that Keith has to have 100 to win, but you know what? When he's involved, Boy, I think it makes their life a lot easier, and especially for Kerry Joseph.
The Riders wanted the win for the second quarter. They've got it. They've got two tight ends back in the game. Joseph runs the option to the right side, pitches to Keith, who cuts back inside, breaks two tackles, gets the first down across the 45-yard line of the Eskimos after a gain of 11 yards. They've run that option 3 times already in the first 15 minutes and change, and it proves to be fairly successful so far.
Well, again, I love the motion that uses it because it just gets everybody on defense just a little unsure of where they're supposed to be. But this is all vintage Kenton Keith right here. Again, you know, I said 6.3 for his entire career on the ground as an average. That is just phenomenal, and, you know, he makes people miss.
Charbonneau and Alston both still trying to find out where number 28 in green went. First and 10 for the Riders. 4 receivers now into the game as Joseph drops back. Pump fakes one way, going deep to Armstead. Roosevelt Williams in coverage, and that pass falls incomplete.
Well, you know why it falls incomplete? Like, when you really want to set this kind of play up and it's a stop and go, I mean, you have to complete some stops, some quick outs out there. And, you know, all they do is just take, here's Joe Murphy. He just goes right here, and then he wants to go up. And you know what? Unless you've established the move right there, you're not going to beat anybody. Plus, Roosevelt Williams, who's starting tonight in place of Craver, he's given him a lot of room to begin with. So, you know, that's a nice call, but that wasn't set up well at all.
Second and long. Joseph hasn't had to face this situation in the last little while. Joseph dropping back, looks left, and looks for Corey Grant. That pass falls incomplete. Probably wouldn't have had enough for a first down anyway.
No, he didn't make the catch, and you know, Corey Grant's a spot receiver now, and when you're a spot receiver and get your chance, you've got to make those plays.
We've got a flag on that play.
Major foul, roughing the passer, hit to the head. Edmonton, number 98, first down.
Well, again, the referees, when it's even close, when the ball is left the quarterback's hand, they're going to call it. So the ball is left. The hit may be okay timing-wise, but when that hand goes up and hits the head, they're going to call it every single time. And that's what Charbonneau did wrong in that situation. He couldn't stop his momentum, but you can certainly stop the hand to the head.
And on second and 10, it's those kinds of penalties that have been hurting Edmonton all season long. First and 10 at the 29-yard line. Again, the give to Keith inside. He breaks another tackle. Still making players miss. Does he have the first down? Probably just short, but another strong run by Kenton Keith in traffic.
Well, the big thing about Kenton Keith, you're right, Farhan, he's making people miss. Watch A.J. Gass right here. Watch Singhur Mobley right here. It looks like they're in great position on the cutback as it's coming, but oh no, blocked there, and then A.J. Gass. I mean, he's got to be the leader on that defense, and he did not make the play. And all of a sudden, a play that should have been stopped for the little game picks up almost 9 yards.
Shannon Garrett eventually makes the play.
Now, hey, granted, Keith can make a lot of people look bad, but, you know, as a defense, and this is what one of their problems has been, you've got to make those tackles.
The Riders back to double tight end. A bit of confusion in the backfield, but it still turns out okay. This week, Wendy's CFL on TSN Friday Night Football as the Calgary Stampeders taking on the Lions in BC. Coverage begins at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Also available on TSN HD. And the Stamps lost a tough one today. The Lions won, so not necessarily for first place quite yet.
No, not yet. But if the Stampeders have any illusions of finishing first in the West, they've got to win that game against the BC Lions, or looks like BC Lions will have first place.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders are saying not so fast. We still have a home game in our sights. Kerry Joseph looks to the goal line. His pass to Armstead goes incomplete. Williams again on the coverage. Not a bad first quarter for Williams.
Well, sometimes you measure an offense by their red zone production, and this is what Saskatchewan's been able to do this year. 22 out of 32 opportunities they've scored touchdowns, but where they've been really good is, I mean, they've had 10 more field goals, so they're 100% inside the 20-yard line this year. I mean, you know, you'd like to maybe have few more touchdowns, but who could argue with 100% every time you get into this position?
2nd and 10. Riders again going with their 2 tight end package. Joseph drops back to pass, looks over the middle, and he has got Dominguez, I believe that is, fighting for first down yardage.
That's a great catch. You know, they've been picking on Roosevelt Williams, the corner starting in place of Keogh Carver tonight. They've really gone after him. And now Dominguez with his big frame, 6'2", 220. Watch this, and Williams is in pretty good position right there, but the ball thrown behind, and that's a great catch by Matt Dominguez to keep this drive going. And, you know, one of the reasons why this team does function well in the red zone, they make big plays. And that's a big one right there.
Gain of 13 on the play, 1st and goal at the 6-yard line for the Riders, and they stay with the 2 tight ends. Play fake to Keith. Joseph looking to run, and he has got Chris Zarka at the goal line for the touchdown. Zarka, the big man, in his 155th game for the Riders, puts his team up 13-3.
Well, again, we look at end zone opportunities. Well, here's another one. They're 2 for 2 tonight, and little fake. Zarka just slow blocks, and as Joseph comes out, of course, he's got the great option. Am I going to run or am I going to throw? Well, the defense played it pretty well to cover Joseph from running, so he just finds Chris Zarka with the touchdown reception. And all of a sudden, Farhound, this Saskatchewan team is really it's really taking control of this game.
Zarka hasn't had many touches this season, but the ones he's had have been big. 65-yard drive, 5 minutes and 12 seconds. It started with the fumble, and the roughing the passer kept it going.
Wow, Steve Charbonneau right there, 98 on the Edmonton bench. That was a big penalty in that drive, but Chris Zarka with the touchdown catch. And again, Saskatchewan's offense clicking nicely here in this first half.
Pat Woodcock again having a tough time handling the kickoff, but he finds some room. Out to the 50-yard line, Conji, the last man back. He cuts inside before finally being brought down by Omar Morgan. Not until he gets to the 36-yard line of Saskatchewan.
Isn't it always amazing how when a kick returner fumbles around with a football, it seems like everybody just either eases up or slows down. But, I mean, he almost doesn't get this off, but Saskatchewan gets out of their lanes, and all of a sudden, boom, Woodcock's got a huge hole up there, and Luka Conji did a nice job to force him back to the inside where he gets some help. But hey, for a team that's struggling, and make no mistake, this has not been a pretty first half for Edmonton offensively. What a wonderful opportunity right here to answer back.
A 56-yard return by Woodcock after the fumble. He dropped the pass earlier in the game, but he more than made up for it there. This time the fake to Davis. Ray rolling to his right. Nobody open. He finally tries to squeeze the ball into Mike Maurer, who comes up with the catch, brought down by Hunt.
You know, this Saskatchewan secondary has been together for a long time. You know, take James Johnson in the corner, he hasn't. But, I mean, with Dave and Bush on that side, Eddie Davis, Omar Morgan, I mean, these guys play so well together. And, you know, you had Hervey and Tucker to one side, and that's where Ricky Ray wanted to go. But they squeezed down the zone so well on those receivers to the short side of the field that Ray had to go to his 3rd pick, and that was Mike Maurer coming across the middle.
Not much room there, but Ray found whatever room there was. And here he is in 2nd and short. Ray dropping back again, looking over the middle, and he has got Mitchell. Should be good enough for a first down.
But you know, it's interesting when you look back, Farhound, at Ricky Ray's career and his productivity. This is a very interesting graph to show you his first 2 years in the league. Look at that. I mean, he's got 59 touchdowns, 22 picks right there. What a great ratio. Now look at last year and this year so far. 40 touchdowns, 39. The ratio kind of goes south there. So, you know, when you talk about where are they struggling, I mean, his performance, not what it was in his first few years.
This time the handoff to Troy Davis, bounces off a tackler. He's got some room, looks like he's got the first down inside the 10-yard line.
And Ricky Ray has been all pass in this first half, and I think you have to try to keep Saskatchewan somewhat off balance with the run. So here comes the run to Troy Davis. There's no question he can get the job done, and so they change up, and this is a good change up here. Let your offensive lineman like Patrick Kabongo on the right side fire off the football and try to knock some of these big Saskatchewan defensive guys back. They do it nicely, and that was a nice pickup And another first down on this drive for Troy Davis.
Davis still looking for his first 100-yard game of the season.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And this time the fake to Davis. Ray looking right. He's being pressured. Now he's got some room. He's got a man wide open in the end zone. And it's a touchdown. Pat Woodcock.
Boy, and that was a tough catch. Ricky Ray just floated that ball into the wind, but Woodcock, to his credit, made the nice adjustment. And boy, Ricky Ray bought some extra seconds with his footwork there because it looked like he was in big trouble. Little play action, roll to the right. Now watch, Jereniak forces him back. Perry came in and missed, and you know, Woodcock just wide open down there. But hey, what a great drive after the good kickoff return by Woodcock. He caps it off with the touchdown catch, but boy, did Edmonton need that.
Boy, I'll tell you, they should just make every pass to Woodcock difficult.
Yes, absolutely. That was a tough catch, and he made it look rather easy.
Because the easy ones, sometimes not so much.
Well, he dropped one earlier, didn't he, on the outside?
Sean Fleming with the convert. The Eskimos are not going away quietly.
Let's go back and have a look at this touchdown reception by Pat Woodcock. The key here, there's David Bush. Now watch this as you roll it. He's in what they call banjo coverage. Once Woodcock goes to the inside, now he passes him off to Clovis, the safety in the middle. Here he is, but what he doesn't do is follow Woodcock back to the corner. Once you passed off in that kind of coverage, you've got to stay with him man-to-man. Clovis gets kind of all mixed up, and then again, it's an easy touchdown pass for Ricky Ray, and an easy, well, not an easy catch for Woodcock, but he was wide open, because in that banjo coverage, once you pass off a man, you have to know that your teammate is going to stick with him for the duration, man-to-man. And Tristan Clovis, the rookie, didn't stay with him.
A quick drive, 4 plays, 36 yards, took 2:42. Woodcock finished it, also started it with the great return. Look at this kickoff, caught up in the wind. Armstead on the return. Not much room. Wind with the tackle on the play.
Well, here in the second quarter, both offenses have really picked it up. The last drive, beautiful drive by the Roughriders, and Ken Keith making a lot of people miss tonight. That was the big play right there, the hit to the head, and then Dominguez with the good catch down in the red zone. And Saskatchewan Roughriders continue perfect tonight when they've had opportunities inside the 20-yard line. 2 touchdowns, one to Rob Lazio, and a couple tight ends with touchdowns. Lazio with one and then Zarko with the other.
So the Eskimos answer, can the Riders answer back? Today, as the NHL on TSN crew gets you ready for opening night. It all begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, and I will be in Detroit for opening night one night later when the Vancouver Canucks visit the Red Wings, the new look Canucks.
New Vice President Steve Yzerman.
That's right.
How about that?
Didn't have to worry about any on-the-job training. Just went from captain to vice president without very little trouble.
I think he can do it.
I think so too. Just a legend in Detroit is Stevie Y. Ricky Ray, meanwhile, dropping back to pass, looking over the middle to Ed Hervey. Actually, Mookie Mitchell, the intended target. We have got pass interference on the play. Tristan Clovis was in on it.
Well, I really think that's a good call. It really, to me, looked like Tristan Clovis, third-round draft choice for McMaster, got there early.
The Roughriders, the least penalized team in the CFL this season, but that one had to be called.
There's Clovis breaking on the football. There's no question. And just as Mitchell was trying to make the catch, Clovis came in and made the hit. Now fans are seeing it again. You know, the stadium, they don't like the call, but...
Well, it looked like Clovis was trying to step up and play the football, but clearly there was contact on the play.
Well, that's what happens sometimes. You read it so well that he got there early and creating, you almost got there too early.
And Ray once again looking over the middle to Mitchell on that crossing route that he loves so much. This time Ray drops back to pass. The screen to Ed Hervey trying to pick up some blocks, but he is brought down by the new middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd. Gain of 6 on the play.
Well, that time Clovis, too, from the safety spot, they let him come on the blitz. Interesting with Saskatchewan to have 3 draft choices starting tonight from the 2006 draft. Of course, Andy Fantuz is starting as a receiver, but Tristan Clovis was the 3rd round, and Luca Kanji, the kicker, was drafted in the 2nd round. So a very productive draft in 2006 for the Riders. That's a lot of rookies starting.
Ray drops back to pass, 2nd and 4. This time, once again, he finds Jason Tucker. Actually, that's Tucker's first reception of the game. but a big gain down to the 40-yard line before Eddie Davis finally brings him down.
Well, again, we talk about Tucker and the fact that if there's one guy, you know, that's going to make a big play for them, or they need a big play from a receiver, there's no question Ricky Ray will go to him. He's the only 1,000-yard receiver in the group, and they just drag him across the field. And again, I love those kind of plays, and there's Eddie Davis chasing him. That's his assignment tonight. But when you know that as a quarterback, then you make a guy from the short side of the field chase all the way across to the wide side. That's a tough assignment for Eddie Davis.
Gain of 19 on the play. First down at the Riders' 39-yard line. Ray drops back, pump fakes, looking deep for Hervey. Omar Morgan in coverage, and nothing doing for Ed Hervey on that play.
And again, kind of hard to understand. I mean, you know, do I like the stop and go or the out and up? Yeah, absolutely. I love those. I mean, here's Hervey here and then here. But you know what? They've never established out there first. I mean, you've got to establish that. You know, Omar Morgan doesn't really bite. He bites a little bit, but not enough that he's going to get himself in trouble. But Joseph did it with Armstead on the outside. Nobody bit. Now they do it with her. You got to establish the out or the short pass. And the quarterbacks have been reluctant to do that. They're just trying to hit these home runs from nowhere.
4 receivers to the right side for Ray. And there's pressure. Is he going to get the ball up? Yes, he does. Avoids the sack by Terrell Jariniak. But the Eskimos will not be able to put this one into the end zone. With 3 minutes to go in the half, the Riders lead by 7.
Rid of that. We're going to put there's Suter right there. That's where he's going to be. They don't like my penmanship. I'm getting heck for that. Is that a little better? There's Suter, but these guys have been busy, but they're going to bring you all their expertise at the half. Not a bad first half here, 17-10 Saskatchewan. Pretty good game so far.
You always get the best graphics on TSN. Now, normally this would be a 46-yard field goal attempt, but into the heavy breeze, Sean Fleming's going to punt it. He's looking for the corner on the right sideline, and not a bad punt. We'll see where they mark it here.
That's a great punt by Sean Fleming. That's his job, to angle it out of bounds, sacrifice yardage for field position, and he did it to the 5-yard line. And you know, early in the year, Sean Fleming wasn't punting. They had brought in another punter, and you know, he got the job back, and I think he's done very well. He's just a little under 41 yards a punt. I mean, he's a field goal kicker first, punter second, but he did a terrific job right there, and with 2:15 to go, he's given his defense a great opportunity to make a stand here and get the ball back for the offense. So good going, Sean Fleming.
Yeah, into the wind, a nice tight spiral in the perfect spot. Danny Machocha happy with that. And the Riders have a long way to go with just 2:15 left on the clock here in the first half if they hope to extend their lead. Joseph gives to Kenton Keith. He manages to fight his way across the 10-yard line.
And that's the thing to me that's so impressive about Saskatchewan, and that offensive line, which I said earlier tonight, has gone from this, you know, great veteran group to an aging group to now back to a good veteran group. They just got such a great surge as 5 people going together and zone blocking. Let Kenton Keith find the hole, but I mean, that was a great surge off the football by this offensive line.
Gain of 6 yards on that last play. Rob Lazio comes into the game. He and Chris Zarka are in as the 2 tight ends. And instead of giving it to Keith, they look for the quick out on the right side, and they have got it. That's Matt Dominguez. Should be good enough for a first down.
And again, as a corner, you kind of think, you know, if they're going to throw, they're probably going to just run the quick out to try to get a few first downs, kill this clock in the first half. But Malcolm Frank against Dominguez just couldn't come up and play overly aggressive, and all of a sudden he's got one in behind him. So good series there. 6 yards on first down with a run, then an easy pickup with the pass, and that's a nice job.
Another 6 yards on that second down play. First down at the 17-yard line for Saskatchewan. They stay with the 2 tight end package.
I think this has been a nice package for them here in the first half because they've run well and thrown well from it.
The give to Kenton Keith. He makes one man miss. Keith's got some room. The first down and then some. Finally run out of bounds across the 35-yard line before being run out by J.R. LaRose. And I think that was Charles Alston or Robert Brown, one of the two that Kenton Keith made look silly.
There is a missing jockstrap out on that field because Charles Alston just lost his. Watch this move right here. Boom. There he is up in the hole. I got him. Whoop, wait a sec. No, I don't have it. And that is just a great move. And Kenton Keith has had a super first half at making people miss.
56 yards on 8 carries. Pretty good average for Kenton Keith.
Well, now, I'm sorry, at the 35, now you're maybe thinking with, a minute and 23 to go, you might be able to get in shape for a Conji field goal attempt.
Joseph drops back to pass, and he's picked off by Singor Mobley. He was looking for Kenton Keith on the left side, threw it behind him. Mobley right there to make the play.
Well, Singor Mobley, watch how quickly he gets out of the backfield to cover Kenton Keith. Here's Mobley right there. Watch him go, and he's in great position. You don't see it yet, but watch how he steps underneath, and that was a poorly thrown football by Kerry Joseph. I mean, he's made some great throws in this half, but here you'll see right here, he's got to take him way out to the sidelines, and that ball's leading him upfield with Mobley in perfect position to make the play.
Also looked like he may have thrown it a little late for such a short throw, and as a result, the Eskimos have great field position with 1:17 to go at Saskatchewan's 37-yard line. Ricky Ray drops back, looks for Ed Hervey. He's got him for a first down.
And what a nice job by Hervey to sit in the zone coverage. These receivers tonight have done a good job at, number one, understanding what the coverage is, about 2 or 3 steps down off the line of scrimmage. Now watch Hervey. He's no, it's not man, it's zone. Let me just sit right in that hole, and he makes himself a great target. Ricky Ray sees the same thing, delivers it into that hole, and Hervey makes the nice catch.
13-yard play. The Eskimos in terrific position to potentially tie this game up before the half. This time, the fake to Troy Davis. Ricky Ray rolls to his right, and he is looking for Jason Tucker. Make that Mookie Mitchell coming across the middle, just a little bit out in front.
Boy, Mookie Mitchell has made a living out of this play where it's play action bootleg, and then Mitchell comes from the backside. He comes from the backside, which he's done his whole career, and here's Mitchell. He's just going to come all the way across the field here. There's the bootleg out that way, and it's good strategy. There you see Mitchell now push off, and I like the play. They just couldn't get the ball in there.
That brings up 2nd and 10. Eskimos should be in field goal position here, but they would like more than that before this half is over. And their season on the line. Ricky Ray drops back to pass. Looks inside to Hervey. He's got it. Breaks one tackle. Touchdown, Eskimos. 24 yards for the touchdown, and the Eskimos are a kick away from tying this game.
Well, yeah, and they take advantage of the Singor Mobley interception. It's just like almost James Johnson, the corner, wasn't quite sure what Hervey was going to do. It was like he was just hanging. Here's Johnson here. Watch Hervey. He just comes in here, and it's like Johnson saying, oh, I'm waiting for him to come back to the corner, because it looked like man-to-man. The inside halfback was covering man-to-man, and well, James Johnson on the outside, I just don't think he was sure what kind of coverage he was going to give, and that was pretty easy play for Ed Hervey, who's had himself a nice first half.
Only Hervey's 2nd touchdown of the season. Sean Fleming with the kick ties this game up. Ricky Ray has got plenty to be pleased about as this half comes to an end. Let's take a look at this one again, Leaf.
Well, good protection for Ricky Ray, and nice catch by Hervey, and funny coverage by Saskatchewan. Normally when you're backed up in your own end, teams get into your red zone and challenge you. You pretty much 90% of the time you're going to see man-to-man coverage, but it was like James Johnson just wasn't quite sure, if Hervey was going back to the outside, and he just kind of left them all alone and never really came up and challenged at all.
Sean Fleming's last kick got caught up in the air. This one, he tries to go left and landed in a soft spot. Goes out of bounds before the Eskimos can touch it and take over, and that's a design play, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That penalty flag means the Riders will take over.
Well, Farhan, you look at Edmonton's season, and it's been a tough one. They may miss the playoffs, but, when you look back on it, they've lost a lot of close games, and you know what? There's 2 ways to look at it. They didn't deserve to win any of those close games because they made mistakes, or, with just one little thing here or there. The Winnipeg game, July 20th, that was the one that Stiegel got the long 100-plus yard pass, and I think there's a lot of us that feel that was just the big nail that they've never been able to overcome this year.
Danny Machocho, it looked like he was thinking about throwing a challenge flag there. thinking maybe his player had touched the ball before it went out of bounds. But as you mentioned, those losses have come in the most tragic way possible. You look at that BC loss on the botched hold on the game-winning field goal. Yeah, they haven't just lost close games, they've lost them in heartbreaking fashion. Kerry Joseph now trying to make amends for that interception. He's being pressured on the play, brought down by Robert Brown.
You know what? When you go back and you look at teams that, have poor records and, they've lost a lot of close games, I really think that's just statistics for guys like you and me to look at and try to make a story out of, because, good teams win close games. And if you're not winning all those, then I don't think you can consider yourself a really good team at this point in time. And, for Danny Machocha, it's been tough. It's been a struggle. But, he just hasn't had one of the better teams in the league this year.
A lot of transition in Edmonton this year, and probably in the offseason again. Loss of 4 on that last play. 2nd and 14, pressure again, and this pass is dropped over the middle by Andy Fantus, a rare drop by the former Heck Crichton Trophy Award winner AJ Gass on the coverage.
And this is the real difficult thing about Kerry Joseph in this offense. They paid a big price to bring him here, and he earns a lot of money. He's a big salary guy here in Saskatchewan, highest player in Saskatchewan Rider history on his salary. But the problem is the consistency factor. And when anybody asks me about Saskatchewan, I say one simple thing: they will go as far as Kerry Joseph takes them, because sometimes he is very ordinary, sometimes he's terrific. He's been terrific tonight, but then again, he's been very ordinary on that interception to Mobley, that throw right there. So it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde with Kerry Joseph.
Saskatchewan moving all around at the line of scrimmage. Play blown dead. Not sure if we've got a time count violation on this play or not. It looked like they took quite a while there. But no flags. And a timeout by the Riders. Getting back to Joseph Leaf, he admitted last week when he took some criticism here at Mosaic Stadium in the Lions game, he admitted that it got to him.
Yeah, I heard that, and I read that as well, that, the fans started chanting for Rocky Butler. What Kerry Joseph has to remember is, historically, this city has always been in love with the number 2 quarterback. It goes back to Tom Burgess, Kent Austin days, all through the history of this team. So Rocky Butler started 2 games. He's won 2 games this year. He's thrown 5 touchdowns, hasn't given up an interception. He's played well. The fans come, they can do what they want. But you're right, it did bug Kerry Joseph, but that's life in the fishbowl in a small community like this in Regina.
Another whistle on the play. And Kerry Joseph has really tried to entrench himself in this community. In fact, he took over a program that Don Narcisse used to run called Catch for Kids, and they made an announcement earlier in the week. It's now called Kerry's Catch for Kids. He actually donated $4,000 of his own money to the cause, and it's a charity that allows kids to help pay for registration and equipment and things like that so that they can play if they can't afford to otherwise take
part. It's a wonderful story. Don Narcisse, who is a terrific receiver here, founded the program. He's now living in Houston, and he came back up here this weekend. He's here tonight to kind of pass the torch on that wonderful program.
Nice punt by Luca Conji. Tony Tompkins has some room, goes all the way across the field before a gain of 22 yards. He is brought down at the 37-yard line with just 5 seconds to go in this half. And what do the Eskimos do here? Do they take one shot into the wind, or do they just take a knee?
You just be happy with the way you've come back in this half to tie the game 17-17. Good numbers for Ricky Ray. Couple of touchdown passes, 10 of 16. That's a solid half for him. For a team, let's face it, they're 0-6 on the road this year. This is the reason why they're in the big struggle. So this is a solid first half for them.
Yeah, no question. The Eskimos have to be happy to get out of this half not trailing, especially with the way Saskatchewan dominated the first quarter, at least statistically. They took advantage of a few turnovers, and they are right there in what is, without question, a must-win game for the Eskimos if they have any chance of extending their 34-year playoff streak. Ricky Ray will kneel down one more time here.
Green, 80.
And with that, the Eskimos still alive. They are very much into this ball game. 17-7.
50 CFL players, presented by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra.
Once he had you in his sights, it was all over, and he usually hit hard.
Under pressure, drop.
Will Willie Pless played 250 regular season games with 4 different teams and became the core of any defense he belonged to. Quarterbacks, running backs, nobody was safe with Willie Pless around.
And it's intercepted by Willie Pless. Pless hammers Allen.
In 14 years, Pless compiled 1,241 tackles, a CFL record. His relentless pursuit of the opposition is why he was named Defensive Player of the Year 5 times.
The TSN Top 50 CFL Players list will be unveiled as part of the Grey Cup festivities in Winnipeg. For more information on that program and a complete list of nominees, go to tsn.ca/CFL Top 50. Our Ray Morrison spoke with the guy who tied the football game in that second quarter, Ed Hervey.
Well, a nice turnaround in momentum here for your team. The interception, you followed up with a touchdown, Ed. Talk to me about that first half.
You know, first off, I think there was a few jitters on our team, but we overcame with some penalties and some bad plays. We knew Saskatchewan was going to come out rough. We knew the crowd was going to be a factor, but we figured if we could make some plays early and quiet the crowd, it could work in our favor.
So what do you think the message is going into the break here now?
You know, we got 30 more minutes of football. We haven't done anything but just gave ourselves a chance to compete for an opportunity.
Good stuff. Thanks, Ed.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Be sure to check out the new TSN Interactive brought to you by Molson Canadian. You can play along with tonight's game. You can chat with other viewers, like Schultz is, play games, and answer skill-testing trivia. So go again to tsn.ca at the start of the second half, which is coming up. Here's a look at that touchdown against Jock Lazio.
You know, sign that man up to a new contract, catch into the rock.
Thanks a lot, Jock.
For the green and white.
17 up. Third quarter coming up.
Mosaic Stadium, the first 30 minutes did not decide a thing. Let's send it down to Ray Morrison, who's standing by with Danny Barrett.
Danny, a rather unconventional touchdown. You had momentum for 2/3 of the first half. Talk to me about what you saw.
Well, we did. You know, the long kickoff return gave them some momentum, and the turnover there is really unacceptable, to be honest. You know, we let them in the end zone. It's a good football team, right? They're not going to quit, but this third quarter here decides what we're going to do for the rest of the night.
Thanks a lot, Danny.
Thank you.
The head coach not overly patient or impressed with his team's mistakes in that first half, Leaf.
Well, again, it was, you know, what I've been saying about Kerry Joseph. When he's been good, he's been exceptionally good in this first half of directing his team's offense. But that throw that Danny Barrett talked about, the turnover that Singhor Mobley made the interception on Kenton Keith, that was just a bad throw late in the half. And you know, at critical times, those are, you know, the momentum killers that Danny Barrett talked about. And Edmonton had a couple of big momentum savers. The kickoff return by Woodcock and then the pick by Mobley.
The Riders have been +5 coming into this game on turnovers. They were -1 in that half. Edmonton with 10 points off the 2 turnovers by Saskatchewan. Sean Fleming set to kick off this second half. Jason Armstead fields it at his own 31-yard line, makes one move, penalty flag on the play. Some room down the left sideline, but he's finally run out of bounds, and this play probably coming back with some sort of illegal block.
Well, the quarterbacks in the first half, really the big difference to me is the 2 interceptions that Kerry Joseph threw on his side of the ledger, because they led, as Farhan just mentioned, to 10 Edmonton points, and that was really what kept Edmonton in this game. Pretty close on the other things with percentage and total yards.
Shermar Bracey with the illegal block on that last play. That sets the Riders back to their own 23-yard line, 1st and 10. They've been going in and out of that double tight end package. This time 4 wide receivers on the field. Eskimos showing blitz. Joseph on the option, pitches to Armstead. Trying to pick up a block. Roosevelt Williams can't make the first tackle, but eventually Armstead runs out of room after a short gain of 4 yards.
You know, one of the things you do when you suspect you're going to get a lot of pressure up the middle is to go to the outside. I mean, here's Mobley, here's J.R. LaRose, the safety. They're coming up trying to get through those gaps, and, you know, I think they just had the right play call to get to the outside. Now, they didn't get a lot of yardage because Roosevelt Williams did a super job on the outside to limit that gain. But, I mean, when a team tries to rush you up the middle heavy, like Edmonton has done tonight, those are the best plays to be, to get to the outside quickly.
Second and 6. Joseph again under pressure. This time, Adam Braidwood brings him down.
I'll tell you, Edmonton finished the first half with a lot of mo on their side with the pick and then the touchdown, and all of a sudden, you know, you're looking at a quick 2-and-out to begin this third quarter, and it was Adam Braidwood that gets the sack. And he comes up. There was good pressure initially, but Braidwood will clean up on there. And, you know, the Edmonton offense, which came alive in the second half of that second quarter, they're going to get the ball back quickly here.
Braidwood with his 4th sack of the season. He is starting just his 9th game, and obviously, or very likely, Edmonton's Rookie of the Year candidate. He's had a great 9 games so far and still has 4 more to go after this one. Luka Kanji back to his own 10-yard line. And a nice punt. Tompkins at his own 35. Breaks one tackle going all the way across the field before he is finally brought down. That's Kitwana Jones with the tackle. Let's take a look at the Purelator sack tally, brought to you by Purelator, where business is going. And you see the Lions right up there with 49. Saskatchewan 8 back, and Fred Perry, we talked about what a great season he's been having.
Well, he has. He and Brent Johnson tied for the lead with 13 each. And those sacks, we'll let you know, are up to date as of today's action as well. So Roosevelt Williams is the injured Edmonton Eskimo, and he won the starting job tonight. And, you know, they have picked on him, but I think he's played pretty well.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the Eskimos will have the ball. Roosevelt Williams being taken off the field under his own power. Here's another look at the injury.
Well, I think he's trying to pass up the block right there, just not to get a clipping charge or block him from the rear charge. So he's either referee really watching that closely, and so he just falls over the top of Ontarius Robinson there, and looks like he just jammed up his wrist or something.
Williams, just his 2nd start of the season. He's into the game for K.O. Craver, and Craver was benched for this game, or at least taken out of the starting lineup, because Danny Machocha was not happy with his production. 1st and 10 for the Eskimos at the 36-yard line. Lots of motion in the backfield to give to Troy Davis. He breaks through the first tackle. Scott Schultz still hanging onto his legs, but he still manages to pick up a gain of 7 yards.
One of the things, you know, we talk about is matchups in a game, and I know the guys in the studio like the one with Eddie Davis and Jason Tucker. We really haven't seen a lot of that tonight. One of the matchups that I really wanted to watch was Patrick Kabongo, the rookie tackle, right tackle for the Eskimos, against both Fred Perry and Terrell Jeriniak, and really nothing's materialized there. I haven't mentioned Kabongo's name once tonight, which is a good thing.
And if you're Jason Tucker, how much of the fact that we haven't heard his name is because of how well Eddie Davis has been covering it?
And there's old Kabongo there, 340 and change. He's a big one.
The give again to Davis, left side. Nate Davis there to meet him in the hole, close to first down yardage.
Well, this Saskatchewan team, it's a tough team to run against. Edmonton looks as though they may have picked up the first down here, but they're number 1 in the league against the rush. They only give up 85 yards a game. A year ago, they gave up 91 yards a game. So, I mean, this defense year over year is very consistent in its commitment to stop teams from running the football. And, you know, this is the number 1 defense right now, and yards given up per game, just a little over 300 a game. So the Saskatchewan defense is a good group, and it starts all up front where they control the line of scrimmage with that great front 4 of theirs.
That gain good enough for the first down, out to the 46-yard line. The Eskimos, as you mentioned, Leaf, got plenty of momentum late in that second quarter, trying to carry it over here in the second half. This time the play fake. Ray rolls to his right. He's being pressured, now going all the way back to the other side of the field. Keeping it himself, dumps it off to Troy Davis. Looked like he may have been across the line of scrimmage. The pass is incomplete, no flag on the play.
Well, I think you're right. You know, there isn't a flag, but he was awfully close. And, you know, that's one of those ones where he dumps it off to Davis. A tough catch for Davis, and maybe Ricky Ray would have been better just to keep the ball himself. Now, they've tried this a few times, the bootleg to the weak side of the field looking for Tucker, but the timing just hasn't been very good at all. And now the fun starts, and you know, Ricky Ray, I think, you know, maybe at this point he should have just tried to run the football himself. This is what I'm talking about. You know, he's the drag guy, and boy, they just haven't had anybody open on that bootleg.
Ray again on 2nd and 10, looking over the middle, throw behind Pat Woodcock. Underthrown as well. Jackie Mitchell in on the coverage.
You know, that's a typical play of why this year there are so many fewer 300-yard passing games by quarterbacks in this league. And, you know, Jackie Mitchell on the inside receiver just had him covered like a blanket. And so many teams using former strong safeties in U.S. college or in pro experience down south, making them linebackers. In this league right now, the linebacking is really, you know, you got 5 defensive backs, 2 linebackers that are essentially strong safeties. You got 7 DBs out there, and the passing numbers are a lot poorer this year than they were a year ago in the league.
Sean Fleming having a good night punting. That one wasn't so good, but he gets a bounce, and we'll have a penalty flag on the play when we come back to Regina. Welcome back to Regina. This year's Grey Cup goes November 19th at Canada Inns Stadium in Winnipeg. It's the 3rd time Winnipeg is hosting the Grey Cup. The theme for the festivals is Magic on the Prairies. For more information, visit cflgreycup.ca. Riders take over at their own 41-yard line in a 17-17 tie. 1st and 10. Joseph in the shotgun, drops back to pass. Steps up into the bucket. He's going to keep it. Beats A.J. Gass close to 1st down yardage.
Well, and this is what Kerry Joseph can give this offense consistently, and I'd much rather see him do this when things aren't to his liking downfield than force a football in there. And he runs for the 1st down. He's a terrific runner. He's got the size, and, you know, where is this offense better this year than it was a year ago? I think there's no question. It's the running ability of Kerry Joseph and some of the plays that they designed for him to get outside on the rollout where he has some options. But this offense is better with him in there as a running quarterback when they need it.
As we wait for the measurement, let's send it down to Ray Morrison.
And defensive back Roosevelt Williams with a rotator cuff strain. They have his pads off, and they're taking a look at that far hand, and they say his return is iffy. So we'll keep an eye on that.
And the Riders are just short of the 1st down by about the length of the football. What does that do to the secondary, Leaf?
Well, it puts him in a big bind because Keo Craver, you know, he's not starting out in the corner. That means Dante Bull, 25, who's been playing the inside safety spot, he now has to move out to the outside. They take Gerald Dixon. He's moved back to defensive back. So it sets up a whole pile of problems for them with one little injury.
Saskatchewan having plenty of success rushing the football so far in this game. Already close to 100 yards.
Go! 385!
Gets it on the quarterback sneak.
And it is a 1st down for the
The NHL on TSN returns with a doubleheader on Wednesday. It starts with Ottawa taking on the Leafs in Toronto, followed by Dallas and the Avalanche in Colorado. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Both games available on TSN HD.
You know, I just talked about those 300-yard passing games and how it's diminished substantially throughout the league this year. And this is the reason why. I mean, you got guys like, there's Gerald Dixon, who's a linebacker. I mean, he just goes out, plays defensive back now because of an injury. I mean, these guys are interchangeable with that linebacking core.
Joseph with the play fake going deep to Armstead and just out of his reach inside the 10-yard line. And sure enough, Buell was the guy in coverage. They picked on him early, and Kerry Joseph is injured on the play.
Well, they put Buell out to the corner. That's what the juggling act now when Roosevelt Williams goes down. But Kerry Joseph, you know, I've said this, he's got tremendous courage to hang in the face of pressure to try to complete a ball. And Steve Charbonneau, who's been in his face quite a bit in this football game, and he goes down, and, you know, as he's going down, he grabs his right knee there, and that is not a good sign. Ivan Guthrie, the veteran trainer of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, out quickly, but look at all of a sudden Danny Barrett's got this look of horror on his face. Rucky Butler's been a little nicked up. Those are his numbers this year, and, you know, you got to love what he's been able to do in that department with interception to touchdown ratio. 5 TDs, no picks, and the 2 games that Kerry Joseph didn't play that Rocky Butler started were coincidentally wins.
Joseph tried to get up, but realized it just wasn't going to work, went back down. That will also give Butler time to warm up. Now, Butler this week missed a lot of practice time. He took very limited reps because he had a hip injury. He's been battling that. He's thrown fewer than 40 passes this year, but he's had some success when he's been in.
Well, and again, the playing time that he's had is going to be valuable. But watch here, the key is when Joseph steps up, when he really delivers, anybody that throws the football knows that right leg is going to come through right here. And although it didn't look like he got, when it was planted or anything, when Charbonneau hit him, and usually that's when you really have problems. But I'll tell you, I have seen so many injuries where you just say, how in the world did he ever hurt his knee? You just don't know. And that didn't look too tough on the right knee, but he's in real agony. And maybe again, if we look at it one more time, we'll see that Steve Charbonneau actually goes knee on knee here on that right knee. And there it is.
And you'll remember that Joseph also had a knee injury.
Right there, knee on knee. And that's exactly what it was. Producer Mitch Kersner, pointed out, let's have one more look here, because I think it was knee on knee, and that's exactly what it was.
And as I was mentioning, Joseph injured his knee his first season in Ottawa. He was having such a great start to the season and had his season cut short. I'm not sure if it's the same knee, but there's been a history there since he's come up to the CFL.
Well, again, it's all about his willingness to step up into that pocket and deliver a football in the face of taking a real big hit.
Well, the fans have wanted Rocky Butler. They've been chanting his name. They chanted it last week. They'll get a chance to see him when we come back to Regina. Kerry Joseph walking off under his own steam, but he looks to be in obvious pain and frustration. And Rocky Butler's going to be the guy. The backup quarterback, always a fan favorite. You'll also know that Marcus Crandall is out as well with an injury, so Butler's the guy, at least for now. He takes over with the Riders 2nd and 10 at their own 52-yard line. Butler drops back to pass, looking left to Armstead. Throws him, but he makes the catch and gets out of bounds with a first down at the 45-yard line.
Well, Farhan, what's really interesting is Rocky Butler enters this game is the tale of 2 careers for him. This is his 5th year with the club. His first 4 seasons, look at this. I mean, he's got 6 interceptions, no touchdowns. But has he turned it around this year? Yeah, you bet. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. So, I mean, a real tale of 2 stories with Rocky Butler. And let's see which one we're going to see here as he comes in relief for Kerry Joseph.
And if there wasn't a quarterback controversy before, Butler's in position to set one up here with a good performance over the final 25 minutes. We got a fumble on the play. Looks like the Riders have it back. Kenton Keith with the carry.
Well, Adam Braidwood, who really and truly has a nose for the football at creating some havoc, creating fumbles. Watch as he slashes down here, gets in behind Charles Thomas, and then he strips the ball loose. But luckily, to get the lucky bounce and recover. But Adam Braidwood, I'll tell you, that guy knows where the football is.
As we mentioned, he leads the league with 4 forced fumbles this season, tied for the league. That would be 5. So he should have it on his own. Butler now looks left, and he has got a man. That's Matt Dominguez. Good for another first down at the 31.
Well, I'll tell you, Farhan, what I like about Rocky Butler when he's come in, and I mean, he's not even warm yet, and when he throws to the outside, there is 0 hesitation in his move. Watch it. He's made up his mind, reads in the middle. Okay, I'm going to go outside. Boom. That ball is gone before Dominguez made his break. There's absolutely no way to defend that unless you come up and really play a jam coverage. If you're going to lay off and the ball's delivered on timing like that, it's almost impossible to stop. And I love the quick release. No hesitation whatsoever.
And no lack of confidence as far as Butler's concerned. Riders go back to the double tight end look. Butler with the fake, looking deep to the end zone to Grant, and it is knocked away. Great coverage on the play by the linebacker, Gerald Dixon.
Who's now out at defensive back because of the injury to Roosevelt Williams, showing his versatility. And again, I love the formation, double tight ends. You're thinking run, run, run. You go play action, and all of a sudden you got Corey Grant up here going to the corner, but a pretty good turn and run by Gerald Dixon to stay right on his hip. Now, one criticism maybe with Rocky Butler, if you're throwing long, you better put a lot of airtime on this throw, and he threw that on a pretty flat line.
Andy Fantus checking into the game for Corey Grant. Tight ends come out. Riders go back to a 4-receiver set here. Butler dropping back. Looks deep to the left side. Jason French, the intended target, and a great catch for the touchdown. We've got a penalty flag on the play. This one might come back for holding.
I suspect it's going to come back for holding, but nevertheless, did Jason French ever wrestle and fight for that football with Shannon Garrett? Now, it's not going to count.
Saskatchewan, number 68, 10-yard penalty, second down repeated.
Boy, Andrew Green, the right guard, hands to the face, and that's one of those new penalties this year that offensive linemen are going to be called for that when they put hands to the face, as well as defense putting hands to the offensive lineman's face. There's Andrew Green on the right side. My, oh, my, there it is right there. Look at that hand right up under the face mask of Robert Brown.
And Saskatchewan came into this game as the least penalized team in the league, and that's sure changing here.
Yeah, and it really negates a wonderful effort by Jason French. Did he ever fight for that football? Well, Rocky Butler, since he's come in, has had a lot of second and long situations.
The last time these two teams played, French was the Riders' leading receiver with just 3 catches. Butler rolls right, looking back to the left, under pressure, and he is brought down. Steve Charbonneau with the tackle. And that'll set up third down. Luka Kanji coming in for a field goal attempt, 52 yards with the wind at his back.
Well, they must really have confidence in Luka Kanji, because a lot of teams this year will not attempt this 52-yard field goal for the simple reason it's a tough field goal to cover if he misses from this tight formation. So Danny Barrett obviously has a tremendous amount of confidence in the accuracy of his rookie kicker.
As you mentioned, he hit 2 from outside of 50 yards last week. This one had the distance, but it's just wide. And Tompkins with the return.
Sorry, here's where the fun starts. They did a great job covering, but that could be really dangerous.
Only able to get the ball out to his 13-yard line, and as you mentioned, a risky play. Great coverage by Saskatchewan.
Oh, did they ever? Reggie Hunt was down there, and that is a tough play to cover, but they did a good job. And that's, honestly, this is the reason, Farhan, why so many teams are reluctant to kick that long field goal. If they're missed, there's so many good returners in the league. But Saskatchewan did a great job covering.
Now, as we mentioned, Kanji was 2 for 2 from outside of 50 yards last week against BC, but he had a much stronger wind at his back than he does tonight. Now, in this situation, teams typically go with a different set of personnel for a longer field goal, don't they?
Well, they got to have some speed guys on the outside to get down and cover.
The crowd getting into it now with Edmonton deep in their own territory at the 13-yard line, where they'll go 1st and 10. The Saskatchewan players on defense trying to get the crowd involved. They call Edmonton the evil empire here in Saskatchewan. Ricky Ray this time gives to Troy Davis. He manages to fall forward for about 3 yards, and now here's Ray Morrison with an update on Kerry Joseph.
It's a knee-on-knee hit, as we saw on the replay. The athletic therapist, Ivan Goodfriend, tells me there's no structural damage. Now, Kerry Joseph did pull on a knee brace, and it looked like he was running around ready to go, but now he's back down again, and they're about to put ice to that knee. So we'll have to wait and see if they bring Kerry Joseph back into the football game, Farhan. But right now, they're gonna ice down that knee.
Thanks, Ray. A 3-yard gain brings them 2nd and 7 for Edmonton. Ray drops back, looks to the right side, and he's looking for Andrew Nowacki, who just got back into the lineup this week. Omar Morgan there with the coverage.
Yeah, and he got some great help underneath from the middle linebacker tonight, Maurice Lloyd, who's getting the start, and he comes underneath Morgan over the top. And again, it's all situational defense. 2nd and 10 deep. They got Edmonton backed up. Omar Morgan just sits on that curl route, and he gets a little help. Eddie Davis left his man, but boy, that almost was like triple coverage trying to throw in there. you know, they got the crowd behind them, and Saskatchewan defense with a quick 2 and out.
And now Sean Fleming will kick off from near, or will punt from near his own goal line into the wind. I mean, Saskatchewan should have fairly good field position. Would they consider giving up a safety here?
I don't think so. I think the defense has played well enough, and now, you know, if it's a delay a game or something and it's backed up another 5, I think, you know, that might be something you'd think about. Procedure call.
Strange play there. Matthew Bertrand went up and
Procedure. Edmonton, number 30.
hit one of Saskatchewan's linemen wanting to take the penalty intentionally.
Well, now you kind of got to look at Machoch's not even looking out to Sean Fleming to give him any sort of direction should they change their mind. And maybe that tells me they're going to give it up.
Yeah, from this situation now, he'll be in his own end zone going into the wind. You'd have to think this is the percentage play in the CFL these days.
I would think so. I'm with you on that one, especially in a tight game.
It's always tough, though, when it's tied because you don't want to give up the lead no matter how early.
Well, you know what they're doing? They're taking another 20 seconds off the clock right here. You know, they're going into the wind in the third quarter. Saskatchewan's defense doesn't like it, but certainly within the rules. So they take the full 20. They'll take 5 more. And Fleming's laughing because he's going to give up the safety anyway. And that's his ex-teammate, Tim Fleiser. He said, hey, Timmy, you know what I'm doing. And I'm a smart guy. Or else he's saying, I'm going to catch it and see if I can outrun you a little bit in the end zone.
You mentioned Fleiser into the lineup. This is his first game of the season. A former first-round draft pick by the Edmonton Eskimos was cut by the Eskies in training camp this year. The Riders picked him up 2 weeks ago and have just activated him for tonight's game.
There's Tim Fleiser, former Hamilton Tiger Cat. And now, without any question, Sean Fleming is just going to concede the 2 points.
Still waiting, but the clock's not moving.
Well, no, it's not going to move. I mean, you can wait all day, but until the ball is snapped, the clock is definitely not going to start. So maybe the officials are just trying to sort something out. This doesn't make a lot of sense right here.
Well, we might actually have a kick here, or at least a snap. And Fleming will try to take a few more ticks off the clock, running around in his own end, before eventually stepping out of bounds. And with that, the Riders lead by 2. So the Riders don't connect on the field goal, but they get 2 of the 3 points anyway, thanks to the safety.
So they get the safety, and Saskatchewan will choose to scrimmage the ball at their own 35 rather than receive the kickoff, which I kind of find a little unusual into the wind, but...
Well, the last time Edmonton tried to kick off, they tried that short kick to the sideline. There was a penalty on the play, so it might wind up ultimately being the same field position here. Either way, Rocky Butler staying in at quarterback. Another delay down as the officials try to get a few things sorted out. Still 5:03 left in the third quarter. Seems like it's taken a long time to play these last 24 seconds. Let's take a look at the Rogers Player of the Game, which is brought to you by Rogers Wireless. Rogers brings you the latest in MP3 phones. Cast your vote by text messaging Go CFL. You can log on at cfl.ca. A few candidates tonight. Kenton Keith possibly for the Riders, Adam Braidwood for Edmonton.
Yep, I like those. Ed Hervey, big touchdown catch at the end of the second quarter. Nobody's really jumped out in front yet.
Kenton Keith again with the handoff, finds a crease, breaks another tackle, spins his way close to midfield. A gain of 18 yards on the play for Kenton Keith.
Well, he just jumped out into first place for the Rogers Player of the Game with that run right there.
Certainly did.
Watch this off to the left of your screen, and again, the nice cutback and the backside block. The backside block right here on Singhor Mobley, and that's the one that keys Kenton Keith, that he can cut back to the inside. And you know, I mean, every running back loves to be a cutback runner because you play, you know, you run the play to the front side, the call side, and when you see that opening, and the pursuit in this league is so good from the backside, that is your opportunity to make that cut. Charles Roberts is one of the best at it. Joffrey Reynolds does it well, and Kenton Keith did it very, very well right there.
And at the end of all of that, Adam Braidwood down on the field, and that is the last person Danny Machocha wants to see injured.
And, you know, it was a revolving door at defensive end at the beginning of the year for Edmonton this year. You know, Joe Montford was still around, hanging around, and they had Somerville, and then they had Braidwood. Also, you know, they weren't quite sure who was going to win the job. And, you know, finally Braidwood emerged in his rookie year to win that job. And he's really done a nice job. And as you said earlier, has a great opportunity to be their Rookie of the Year candidate.
Let's send it back down to the sidelines and Ray Morrison.
As I mentioned earlier, Farhan, the ice did come out for quarterback Kerry Joseph, and indeed he is done for the day. So now this Rider team turns to Rocky Butler, who you have mentioned is battling with a hip injury. They're dealing with that. And now suddenly Darian Durant will have to be ready in case Rocky Butler can't continue on.
So here it again. This is the reason why Joseph was out of the game. A knee-on-knee collision with Steve Charbonneau. And again, you know, they look so harmless when you see it at you know, live action, but the knee on knee, and all of a sudden, I'm sure that knee over the years is susceptible to any kind of hit. The swelling comes instantly, and he'll have the ice on, and as Ray said, he probably won't be back. So to finish the story on Joseph, a couple of nice touchdown passes to his tight ends, Chris Arca and Rob Lazio, but the 2 interceptions really is what kept Edmonton into this game, and now, you know, has it as a tight game.
11 of 20 in this game, 11 for 28 the last time these two teams played. Not the kind of numbers Kerry Joseph hoping for against one of his Western Division rivals. Adam Braidwood looked to be okay as he went off the field. Edmonton will definitely hope he gets back into the game fairly quickly. 1st and 10 now at the 53-yard line for the Riders. Play fake to Kenton Keith. Looking for Andy Fantus just off the reach, just off his fingertips. And that's tough because he's got some big hands, Leaf.
Well, apparently he's got the pretty big wingspan. You know, when he separates, you know, like takes his hand and puts it out, spreads the fingers as wide as they can go. From the baby finger, the tip of the baby finger to the tip of the thumb is 12 inches. So now if you're sitting at home, you open up the palm of your hand, spread out your fingers, you kind of just do a little quick calculation. What is it, you know, 6 inches, 7 inches maybe? Andy Fantus has 12-inch gap there. That is monstrous.
Yeah, and he certainly used those hands to his advantage on that fumble in the end zone last week against the BC Lions. Now the swing pass to Kenton Keith, and he is knocked out of bounds by Malcolm Frank. Not before a gain of 6 yards, though.
So again, you know, this is the no man's land for Luka Kanji as a field goal kicker. I think it's just a little bit too far to give him another opportunity. So, you know, he's going to try. You know, punting is not his strong suit. You know, he may evolve into a much better punter. The rookie from Simon Fraser, who was 2nd-round draft pick of the Riders this year. He's done a great job on field goals. The punting still needs some work. See how good he is at trying to pin Tompkins to the sidelines.
He's got the wind at his back. He'll take all the help he can get. Eskimos look like they want to pressure it, so the Riders send a few players out to the sideline, hoping to take some Edmonton players with them. Kanji almost blocked. Kicks it to the right side. Frank takes it at his 10, and nothing doing. A short gain on the play for the once electric Tony Tompkins, but not this year.
Number 90, a lot of juggling going on the line of scrimmage there, Farhan, as they Luka Kanji tried to get this punt away. Watch the top of your screen, old number 90. Boy, I think had he just stretched out and dove, he might have had a chance. Watch this again.
Almost untouched there.
It almost looked like this was the first time he's ever had an opportunity. That didn't look overly smooth. I mean, you got to you know, be a swan diver. Get out there in the air.
He's
lay
a
out.
Big guy. He can't lay out.
He's got to.
Ricky Ray drops back, looks over the middle to Ed Hervey. Pass slightly underthrown and incomplete. Looks like Omar Morgan again in on the coverage. We've been saying his name a lot tonight.
He's been solid. I mean, he's a great one-on-one guy, a veteran with this team. And you ask him to cover guys 1-on-1. He'll always be there. I mean, I got to see old Antico Dalton one more time coming in on this thing. Now watch it right here, screen. Okay, here's where you dive. It's like he had his eyes closed. Remember when you were a kid and you just did your first head first dive into the pool? And you just kind of fell in with your hands in front. That's what that looked like.
It certainly did. Ricky Ray.
Very first dive ever.
Ricky Ray, 2nd and 10, still looking for his first completion of the half. He's got it. But for absolutely no gain, or next to no gain, nowhere near the first down, Reggie Hunt, the man in on the tackle.
At all times, Ricky Ray, you know, he's made some great decisions, and at other times, you know, this is almost like a give up here because Reggie Hunt was all over that receiver. So that's just simply saying, well, I might complete the ball, but I doubt that he's going to get the first down.
One completion for 3 yards in 12.5 minutes. Not the kind of numbers Ricky Ray is used to. 1 for 6 to be exact. And Sean Fleming, again, deep in his own end at the 5-yard line. We don't see the games we saw the last time he tried to punt. This time he gets a good punt away. Forces Armstead back inside his own end. Gets through the first tacklers. Breaks a couple more. Spins his way inside the 30-yard line. Nice return by Jason Armstead. Eventually brought down by Chad LaRose, a return of 28 yards.
Well, and, you know, he's playing in your own end for this entire third quarter for the Eskimos, and then you hang a punt up, and this guy is dangerous. I mean, he had a great year last year with Ottawa returning kicks, and again, he makes a lot of people miss. There's a lot of offensive players on this Saskatchewan team that can make people miss.
We talked about the return games for some teams just not being as successful. Tony Tompkins has struggled all season, but Armstead has been more than holding his own in that category. 1st and 10 for Rocky Butler and the Riders at the 28-yard line. They give it to Kenton Keith. Cuts back, brought down after a short gain on the play.
And A.J. Gass, the middle linebacker, who in a lot of defensive formations comes up on the line of scrimmage. That time he's always on the weak side when he does come up and fill a gap on the line of scrimmage. And he was looking the whole time for that Kenton Keith cutback. He's seen it a lot tonight, and that time he was waiting in the hole for it.
Quincy Stewart into the game for Steve Charbonneau on the Eskimos side of the ball. Still looking for Adam Braidwood, who has not returned yet from that leg injury he suffered in the last series. Back to 2 tight ends for the Riders. Butler drops back, looks to swing it out to the left side, pulls it back down and goes deep for Dominguez. A battle in the end zone. Dominguez has it, but they rule he was out of bounds. Plenty of jockeying on that play down the left sideline, Leaf.
Boy, the Saskatchewan receivers have made some great catches that haven't counted for anything. Jason French over Shannon Garrett with a touchdown catch that was called back on a holding call or a hands of the face mask. And now this Dominguez was a super catch over over Jonte Bull right here. And, you know, wow, he didn't have control of it. You know, had he, I'm sure they would have had the call and the challenge from upstairs. He definitely didn't have control. That was a great replay to see that.
32-yard field goal attempt for Luka Konju. Snap slightly bobbled, but he still manages to get it up and through. And the Riders extend their lead to 5 points.
Rocky Butler did a nice job to get that ball on the tee. Well, you know what? These two teams met back in August. And, well, we're going to go back. We'll have a look at that snap first. I mean, Rocky just, you know, he had trouble handling himself, but to his credit, you know, he got it back up on the tee. But after a meeting in August, it's interesting to see where these two teams were at the time. And, you know, here was the situation. They were both struggling miserably at 3 and 5. And then, you know what? From that time on, here's where we are now. And Saskatchewan has gone in one direction. And Edmonton, of course, has gone in the other direction.
And if the Riders go on to win this game, the magic number for Edmonton missing the playoffs for the first time since 1971 will be 1. One combination of Edmonton losses or Saskatchewan wins will officially end the streak. Ray rolls out, being pressured by Fred Perry, manages to get out of it, looking deep, but he's going to pull the ball down and slide for a gain of maybe 2 yards, if that.
Well, Ricky Ray was running for his life. And initially, you know, lots of time to throw. I mean, this is good coverage downfield, but Ricky Ray, he avoided Perry, he avoided Jereniak. But look at this downfield. I mean, this is the front side of the pattern, and there's Jason Tucker. You know, Omar Morgan from the outside reads it perfectly. He sloughs his man off to someone else. And, you know, this Saskatchewan secondary, they play well together. They trust each other. When you pass off a man to the other guy, that he's going to pick him up and make the play. And, you know, that's a lot of the reason why tonight Ricky Ray's had to pull up the football and run with it.
No gain on that play as Ray Hook slid. It's going to bring up another 2nd and long with 2 seconds left into the wind here. So he's going to have to take one more play with the wind in his face. Off the right side. They pick it up. That ball floats into the wind to Pat Woodcroft, and it is broken up. Nice play by James Johnson. And that's it. 15 minutes to go. The Riders lead 22-17. Back to Regina. Look at the 3rd quarter stats, and Saskatchewan still dominating statistically, but only a 5-point lead.
Yeah, you know, they've really done a good job in the numbers department, but again, you know, points and turnovers, all that stuff, you know, and that's what you might expect in a very close game. But you know what's interesting to me, you know, Edmonton trails by 5 points going into this first quarter, and what haunts me is I keep thinking back to that graphic we showed of all the games that they've lost late in the game just by a few points. So we'll see if they can overcome some of that stuff.
And it seems to be setting up that way. Ricky Ray, just 1 completion in that 3rd quarter.
You know, it was pretty dull 3rd quarter for both teams. The defense has really picked it up, and only 5 points scored total. But you know what? These are 2 teams that are really desperate in different ways. You know, Edmonton obviously has to find a way to win a road game this year, and Saskatchewan has an opportunity to, you know, set their sights on 2nd place with Calgary losing, set their sights on clinching a playoff spot. So there's a lot at stake for both of these teams as we begin the 4th quarter.
This time Sean Fleming gets the punt into the wind. Ball bounces and goes out of bounds right around the 30-yard line. A 46-yard punt for Fleming. Let's send it back down to the 3rd member of our broadcast crew. Here's Ray Morris.
Over on the Edmonton bench, this game has taken a toll on both teams, guys. Adam Braidwood is out for the night with a left hamstring strain, so the Edmonton Eskimos will be forced to make some changes on their defensive line. Farhan.
Well, here's the injury where Adam Braidwood occurred. I mean, he's trying to just get out of the way there and pulled the hamstring. You saw him on top of your screen, tough to see, but he did reach down and grab that leg. So, and Tico Dalton will now take his spot and finish out this game.
And it happened on one of those patented Kenton Keith moves. Here's Butler looking at Matt Dominguez, and an amazing catch at the 50-yard line between 2 defenders.
Well, this is an unbelievable catch by Dominguez. Concentration to make the play, because I tell you what, J.R. LaRose, the middle safety, this is where if you're going to be a real threat in the league, there he is right there. He needs to come across and help out and make this play, because this is a defense where it's called safety free. He's reading the quarterback and he will flow to the football. Watch this. He has the time to come in here right now and rearrange Matt Dominguez and make him try to not hang on to that football, but for some reason LaRose passes up the hit right there, totally misses, and he doesn't help out his inside safety at all on that play. Boy, have a look again. You know, he had a chance to help out Malcolm Frank there, who was in pretty good coverage, but when you're safety free in the middle on that kind of a play, you know, you've got to go to the football and either try to knock it down or rearrange the receiver so he can't make the catch. And all of a sudden, the only person that got rearranged was Malcolm Frank, because J.R. LaRose ran into him.
And they're already down 1 defensive back. Let's see what the Eskimos do when we come back.
On here. Boy, oh boy, you know, Malcolm Frank really took a shot there. But what a catch by Dominguez. I mean, you know, you could say that, you know, you know, LaRose should have hit him, but LaRose missed and hit Malcolm Frank. I think he got him right in the shoulder.
Boy, that's got separated shoulder written all over.
Yeah, but, you know, again, you know, I focused kind of on J.R. LaRose there because I thought he should have really made the play on Dominguez. But Dominguez, what a catch.
Yeah, and you heard when we showed that at full speed, just the sound of the collision, and it should have been on Dominguez. Instead, it was on Frank, and now the Eskimos are down both of their starting corners, Roosevelt Williams and Malcolm Frank, out right now.
So J.R. LaRose, the safety, now has gone out to corner. I mean, they were thin coming into this game, and now with two guys out, it's even getting worse.
Hit screen right up to that side. They go after LaRose. Armstead with the catch, and a good tackle by LaRose there.
Well, you know, why not? And go right at him here, and it's the thing to do. You got Jason Armstead, who's a burner here, and you got LaRose here. That's a pretty good cushion in between them, this space in between. And on the stop, you know, I thought it was a nice job by LaRose to come up and, you know, 1-on-1 out in the island. Makes a good tackle there. But interesting, you know, when a guy's injured, you get lots of time in the huddle to kind of figure out what you're going to do. And they said, LaRose in the corner, let's go right at him.
Gerald Dixon now is playing free safety for the Eskimos. This time to give to Kenton Keith, makes one-man miss as he's done so often tonight. Gets inside the 35-yard line. And a first down for the Riders again.
Again, Kenton Keith, as he has done all night, has made people miss. And it's just when you think you have him. I mean, look at Alston, you know, you stop it right there. Boy, there's Alston right there. He's going inside, and Kenton Keith's going to the outside, and he's made a few people look rather ordinary tonight, and he is really on his game.
Kenton Keith with 86 yards on 12 carries, closing in on his second consecutive 100-yard game. This time to fake. Butler keeps it rolling to his left. Looks inside. I believe it's Armstead again, close to first down yardage.
Well, a good call by Butler to just go away from the inside pressure to get to the outside, but it's really been a story of Kenton Keith tonight. And take a look at this. I mean, this is just a lot of great running, and I guess the thing to note right here is watch how many people have had Kenton Keith dead in their sights and have missed. Gas misses there. Charles Alston's going to have nightmares because he's missed a bunch.
Rocky Butler, meanwhile, an effective and efficient 6 for 9 for 78 yards. First down again at the 23-yard line. He gives to Armstead on the sweep. Gets a block from Kenton Keith, cuts it back. Short gain on the play, maybe 4 yards. Brought down by Wynn, who's now into the game because Dixon has had to move back to safety.
Boy, there's been a lot of domino effect on that Edmonton defense tonight with injuries to both corners, Roosevelt Williams and Malcolm Frank out. So yes, you're right, Marcus Wynn's in at linebacker. Dixon goes to safety, LaRose goes to the corner, and the list goes on and on.
Just like me filling in here and Suter filling in on the panel.
Oh, you're doing a great job. I wasn't worried about Glenn on the panel. Figured he could handle that.
But you were worried about me.
No, I wasn't worried about you at all.
Here we go. Back to two tight ends for the Riders here. Chris Zarka right up there at wide receiver. Butler on the option, brought down by Steve Charbonneau after a gain of 1, maybe 2 yards on the play. That's going to bring up third down, and the field goal unit comes back out.
A pretty interesting call on 2nd and long to quads to the field, try to run some sort of option back weak side. You know, I don't know. But again, you got a 5-point lead, and Edmonton's shown nothing offensively here in the second half. Why not just to, you know, play safe and at least bring Kanji in, who's been more than reliable this season.
25-yard field goal attempt. Rocky Butler to hold. Perfect snap, perfect hold, and a perfect kick. The Riders now lead by 8 with 10.5. So the Edmonton Eskimos' second half woes continue. No points in the second half of this game. In the last 2 games against Hamilton, they finished with 19 total points in the second half, less than 10 a game. And Ricky Ray has certainly been struggling so far in this second half.
Yeah, and this is a team that has not tasted victory on the road this season. And I mean, it's about learning how to win on the road. And, you know, it's been tough. And all of a sudden now they're trailed by 8 and really haven't been able to put anything together.
Ray going over the middle to Mookie Mitchell. 2 men in his face. Mitchell wants pass interference, but it's incomplete. And Ricky Ray's next completion will tie him with Tom Wilkinson for the all-time Edmonton Eskimo lead. He came into this half needing just 2 to tie, and he's still looking for the second one.
Well, he should do it, and he's tying one of the greats. One of the things I've noticed, though, about Saskatchewan's defense, they know that Edmonton loves to run crossing routes. And, you know, as soon as they sense that, the middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd, and the other linebackers, Reggie Hunt and Jackie Mitchell, they're turning and looking for people coming across the middle. And they pretty much shut it down.
This time he's got a wide open receiver. That's Jason Tucker, and he's still running. Jason Tucker outran the coverage on the sideline, finally brought down on the play by Tristan Clovis. But finally, a massive play for the Edmonton Eskimos at a time when they truly needed it.
Well, there's a lot of firepower when Tucker and Hervey are to the same side of the field, which they are most of the time. This time, Hervey will come to the inside, and he gets a rub right on Eddie Davis, just enough there, and Tucker's off and running to the outside, and then they make a mistake on the tackle, and all of a sudden, Ricky Ray, who's been floundering in this half, gets the big play, and there's the number you talked about, Farhan. Tied him.
1,382. He leads the CFL in yardage and completions this season. That one right there will move him past Wilkinson. More importantly, a good pickup on the play by Ed Hervey on the hitch screen. Maurice Lloyd with the tackle on the play.
Kind of unusual when you run the screen to the wide receiver. Usually you run it into the boundary. This time they go trips to the short side of the field, and then of course run this quick screen out to Ed Hervey, who will come here, and they clear out for him. But usually that's a short side of the field play rather than a wide side.
Eskimos just outside the 20-yard line, trailing by 8 points. Finally, they get something going on a drive in this half, looking for their first points of the second half. This time the give to Troy Davis. Davis has a seam inside the 10-yard line and a first down. First and goal for the Eskimos.
Well, Davis has really been non-existent tonight in this Edmonton offense. And, you know, in fact, Farhan, you mentioned earlier that he is still looking for his first 100-yard rushing game of the season. Kind of hard to believe with a guy of the caliber of Troy Davis. But right there on a second and short, a nice move to the outside to keep this drive going. And, you know, trailing by 8, the Edmonton Eskimos, they really have to take advantage of this opportunity.
Just his 4th carry of this half. And it sets the Eskimos up in terrific field position inside the 9-yard line. Ricky Ray drops back to pass, flushed out of the pocket, looking for a receiver. And he can't find Mookie Mitchell at the 1-yard line.
Well, for the most part tonight, I think the Saskatchewan secondary has done just a terrific job shutting down these Edmonton receivers. And you know what? Word is around the league that Ricky Ray doesn't throw the long ball as well as he used to. And, you know, I think that's a fair comment. And so what that happens then, the secondary start to squat down just a little harder on those receivers. And it's going to be tough for Ricky Ray to get that ball in deep. And, you know, their longest pass plays this year have been completions that have been yards after the catch.
And for all the complaints about the Eskimos' offensive line, Ray hasn't been sacked once. He's had time, even when he's been flushed out, to throw the football. This time, Saskatchewan brings pressure. Ray looking left, nobody home, and another incompletion. And that's going to force Edmonton into a field goal situation with less than 7 minutes to go.
Well, that was a miscommunication with Hervey and Ray, and, you know, that shouldn't happen. These guys have been together for a long time, so Sean Fleming will come in. But, you know, you go back and, you know, you look at, you know, Tucker's going to the corner here, and Hervey stops, and then Tucker doesn't really know what he's doing. And, you know, that was a pretty bad-looking play right there. Well, here's Tucker, and, again, he looks like he's laboring just a little bit as he's running that route. I mean, I don't know if he injured himself in that long pass play, but I mean, it didn't look like he was going full tilt.
This time the field goal is up, and it's good. The Eskimos crawl to within 5 points. 6:46 to go in the game. The Eskimos trail by 5.
We gotta love these fans in Regina. They love the Riders. They love their Rider pride, and again, a wonderful crowd here tonight at Mosaic Stadium. I have a little trouble with Mosaic Stadium. To me, it's always that other thing.
That's right. Just under 28,000 fans here tonight, and they're about to watch Rocky Butler get sacked at his own 25-yard line. That's Summersell with the sack.
Andre Summersell, who was in a dogfight all year for the starting position, rather, at defensive end. And, you know, he's at the bottom of your screen. There he is down here. And, you know, watch, he just trails down. And, you know, on the backside, you know, sometimes somebody's going to come free. The quarterback knows that. But he thought the play-action fake would draw Summersell down the line of scrimmage. But he didn't have anything of it. And, you know, with Braidwood out, that's a pretty big play for the guy replacing him. 4 sacks for the Edmonton Eskimos in this game to none for the Riders. Butler now, second and long, looks out to Chris Zarka on the screen. But the Edmonton Eskimos seem to have it well read. A.J. Gass just lays out Zarka. That's a lot of weight when those two guys meet. Yeah, it sure is. And, you know, you got to love that hit, because with Zarka, you know, he's 235, and then all of a sudden you got A.J. Gass. He's a little undersized as a middle linebacker. But here he is in the middle, and he'll just drop up into this area and then make the play when he reads the screen. But initially he goes away from it. Then he's going to come a long way across that field on the cutback, and there he is. And right after the play, Zarka looked at Gass, pointed at him, and you could just tell it was a show of respect between two warriors in this league. Well, they are two warriors. You got that right. But again, you know, after the field goal now, it's a 5-point game. A quick 2 and out for that Edmonton defense, which tightened up. And, you know, with Tony Tompkins, they should get the ball back in pretty good position. Luka Kanji going straight for the sideline. Get it. Ball hits the ground, 40-yard line. We've got a flag on the play. You know, that will be no yards. Oh, that's such a heads-up play by Tony Tompkins to draw the no yards penalty. I mean, even if he fumbles it, you know, some of the real smart returners know that, hey, you know, I got this guy dead in the no yard zone. Even if I don't handle it perfectly, we're going to get the penalty anyway. But Kanji's had great difficulty kicking into this breeze tonight. Again, watch this. Tompkins with the good heads-up play. And you know what? That might have hit Pat Hickok in the back of the leg. So that was a live ball, and we'll see how they sort this out. Yeah, if they challenge this, if Danny Machocha does, he'll probably win. Just a 36-yard punt, and as you mentioned, it hit Pat Woodcock. So Tompkins showed a heads-up play just by jumping on it. The referees are discussing whether or not this should be a no-yards call. Again, it raises the question, you know, if you did challenge it for some reason, you know, would you waste the challenge just to gain 15 yards? Or it'd only be 5 because the ball bounced, That's right. 5-yard.
No yards. Saskatchewan. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, we think it, you know, hit Pat Woodcock, and, you know, that's an unfair call. But again, it's a 5-yard penalty, so I mean, it's not the end of the world. But one more peek at it, and you know, I do believe that. Oh yeah, hit him right in the leg, no question about it. And you know, that's when they're kind of going, whoa, get on that foot. You saw from the sidelines, the coaches were pointing, get on that ball. Unless they're ruling that Donnie Ruiz was within 5 yards of Pat Woodcock. And that's very possible, and that's a very good observation on your part. So now Ricky Ray hands off to Troy Davis. Davis with not much running room on the left side. Let's take another look at the punt. Got a late flag here as well. Well, again, a different angle here. So watch to the left of your screen. There's. So you know what they're. Foul,
Saskatchewan, 79, dead ball foul, 15-yard penalty from point ball dead. First down.
So what they were saying was Donnie Ruiz was in the 5-yard zone. Anyway, we're over and done with that. We're on to other stuff. Terrell Jeriniak just took a critical penalty here that puts Edmonton 1st and 10 at the 40-yard line after they had done a great job stopping Troy Davis on first down. Got Ed Hervey. James Johnson forces him out of bounds, gain of 6 yards.
That's also Hervey's 6th catch of the game.
Well, Ed Hervey's had a good night here, and this ball's thrown a lot better by Ricky Ray. Better timing on that to the outside, and you know, James Johnson had good coverage, but you know, the timing was such that he couldn't get anywhere close to having a play on the football.
Actually, that was a gain of 8, which will bring up 2nd and 2 for Edmonton. Eddie Davis said earlier this week that he knows that when he needs a first down, Ed Hervey is the go-to guy for Ricky Ray. Right now, it's Troy Davis getting the yardage necessary for a first down as he spins his way to the 26-yard line. Gain of 6 on that run.
You know, it's interesting, Farhan. Earlier, we did a game in Hamilton with Edmonton, and we asked Danny Machocha, you know, about fourth quarter and quarterbacks and all that. And you know what he said? He said, there's no other quarterback I would rather have in the fourth quarter to win a football game than Ricky Ray. So, Coach Machocha, here you go.
Well, we're about to find out.
You're 5 points behind. You got a good drive going, and let's see if your guy can pull it out.
This time the fake to Davis. Ray rolls to his left. Looking deep for Jason Tucker, and it is broken up. Eddie Davis right there with perfect coverage.
And there's the matchup we've talked about. He's the short side of the field. He usually takes the team's best slot back, whether it be Stiegel, G-Roy Simon, or in this case, Jason Tucker. And well, lots of footwork. And you know what? I have to think at this stage that Jason Tucker is nicked up. He is not running normally. He's not running with the same speed. And you know what? Just watched him come back into the huddle, and he's really hobbling. And I honestly believe he's got a leg problem right here.
Last week, Davis held G-Roy Simon to 5 catches for 65 yards. This week, it's two catches for 66 yards for Jason Tucker. The Eskimos with a little confusion, and they're calling timeout.
Yeah, and you know, we're kind of staying on Tucker here to see his you know, usually body language in some cases will tell you if he's hurting. I mean, the worst ever was Jim Brown in the NFL. He used to get up after every tackle like he was near death, and then he'd reel off another 20 or 30 yarder. But Tucker doesn't look right. One pass pattern earlier and some confusion in the end zone, he didn't look right. And on that pass pattern there, he just didn't have the explosive nature to his stride that he has. And he's limping here as he comes back. So, yeah, I have to believe that he's certainly not at 100%.
Even if he's not at 100%, he'll never admit it, and he'll never take himself out of this game with the Eskimos season on the line right now. 3.5 minutes to go. They trail by 5 points. Second down, 10 yards to go at the 26-yard line. Ray drops back to pass, looks down the right side. He's got Woodcock. Can he adjust to the ball? No. James Johnson again with the coverage. Woodcock unable to haul it in. And the Eskimos will send out their field goal unit again.
Well, Pat Woodcock, who has 1 touchdown already, he's the outside receiver here, and he's just going to go on a straight fly up the field. And, you know, initially it looks like he might be in behind the coverage. A little move to freeze him. The ball's a fraction late. He had a good move, was open early, but again, Ricky Ray just a little late on the delivery, and that allowed recovery time to get in and make that play.
Got both hands on the ball, but couldn't haul it in. It would have been an amazing catch had he made it. Now it's Fleming with the 33-yard field goal attempt, and he is true right down the middle, and that cuts this lead to just 2 points. That safety early in the third quarter proving to be the difference right now as the Riders with a 25-23 lead in a must-win situation for Danny Machocha's Edmonton Eskimos.
Well, in a tough spot for Danny Machocha. He's had a lot of players go down tonight, and there's one that I think Jason Tucker, yeah, he's not right. There's something wrong with his, I believe it's his right leg. You've had Roosevelt Williams, a starting corner, go out. Malcolm Frank, a starting corner, go out. And Adam Braidwood, starting defensive end, go out. So this team tonight with some major injuries, and to their credit, hanging in late into this fourth quarter, only behind by 2.
Kenton Keith closing in on 100 yards, his second straight 100-yard game. Right now sits at 86. And with less than 3 minutes to go, you'll probably see quite a bit of him now.
Well, it seems like he's had more than 80-some yards tonight, because his rushes have just been so pretty.
Here he is again, going right. Cuts back inside, fights his way for some extra yardage, close to 5 yards. And we have the 3-minute warning. The Edmonton Eskimos had a players-only meeting earlier in the week to try to sort things out. Many in Edmonton said, wonder what took them so long. Well, now it's 58 minutes later, and they're still down to their final strike. 2nd and 5 now. Ken Keith in the backfield. 2 tight ends in the game for Rocky Butler, who took over for Kerry Joseph early in the 3rd quarter. Butler gets flushed out, looking left for Jason Armstead, and he overthrows him at the 35-yard line. Nice coverage on the play with Chad LaRose. And the Eskimos will get another chance as Saskatchewan will have to punt again into the wind.
Well, you think things are tough. I'll tell you, look at this. Antico Dalton, number 90, and just watch him, go in pass coverage. He's a defensive end. They've had so many injuries. He's playing safety, the defensive end, and, he's trying to react to the football and ask your safety to go sideline to sideline. I don't think Antico's kind of equipped for that at his size.
Yeah, that's a matchup you might want to pick on.
Well, I don't think you're going to see any one-on-one matchups there. He's going to be a center fielder if that's his job for the remainder of this game.
Biggest safety in the CFL. Meanwhile,
ever.
Kanji punts it to the 35. Tony Tompkins tries to scramble his way up for 8 yards, and the Eskimos have 2 minutes left to get it done.
Please.
See if we can see what happened to Jocelyn Frenette. There's Jocelyn Frenette there, number 59. So see what happens at the end of this play. Tompkins is a tough guy and probably is. Ooh, he got the leg whip from one of his own players. But let's set the scene here because 2:04 to go. Plenty of time for the Edmonton Eskimos. They trail by a couple of points. They need to realistically go forehand, I suspect, about 25 yards to give Sean Fleming an opportunity to kick a game-winning field goal. They do have the wind at their back, but keep in mind, they used the timeout earlier, so they've burned that one timeout that could help them in this kind of a situation.
As you mentioned, Danny Machocha said if he had one quarterback he could pick in the final 2 minutes,
oh boy,
Ricky Ray is the guy, and they'd like to use the full 2 minutes on this drive here.
Well, he's been good in the past, and, I know his coach loves him. There's some good guys at doing this, though, late in the game.
He has not been great in the second half tonight, but he can make it all right with a drive here. He finds Ed Hervey across the middle. Short gain on the play. Hervey gets knocked forward by Maurice Lloyd. Actually, that's Fred Perry on the play.
Well, Fred Perry covered a lot of ground there, and to Ed Hervey's credit, he hung on to the football because he took an awful hit from Fred Perry. But again, we'll go back and have a look at it here. Edmonton staying with huddle-up offense, not going to the hurry-up here. Watch Perry from the right of your screen. Hervey, good job to hang on to that football. So minute 48 and counting.
2nd and 3. Ray drops back to pass. Being pressured. Gets away, looking deep to Woodcock again. Woodcock has it. He's inside the 15, down to the 12-yard line. Davin Bush finally with the tackle kept Pat Woodcock out of the end zone. Ricky Ray buys himself time.
Well, he really did, and that's one of the things that Ricky Ray has always been good at. He's been good at it in this game tonight, is when he's had some pressure, he's been able to buy himself some extra time because normally the coverage has been really good, and in this case the coverage was very good until Ray broke containment, and then Woodcock was able to sneak in behind Davin Bush. And to Woodcock's credit, he's had some big catches tonight, he's had some drops, but that one, he juggles a little bit, but he hangs on. And again, Ricky Ray gets out of the pocket, and he will take a hit to deliver because he takes one from Fred Perry.
3 catches for 59 yards for Woodcock, including a touchdown. That last reception, 47 yards. It sets the Riders up, or sets the Eskimos up at the 13-yard line, where they will hand the ball off to Troy Davis. Davis fits his way in there down to about the 8-yard line as he tries to kill some clock as well as gain some yardage here. Remember, the Eskimos only need a field goal now, but they would love nothing more than to finish this drive off.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Saskatchewan uses their timeout here, if they're willing to let Edmonton run one more play before they use the timeout, or in fact take it right here.
Danny Barrett still believes his team can catch Calgary for second place, so this win is as important for them as it is for the Eskimos in many ways. Danny Machocha, meanwhile, finally some life, something to get excited about. Ricky Ray drops back to pass. Rolls to his right, looks to the end zone, and now he comes back the other way, and he's got all sorts of room in front of him. He will score. Ricky Ray into the end zone for the touchdown. With 42 seconds left, the Eskimos have a 4-point lead with the convert coming.
Wow, what a play by Ricky Ray. You know, you got to give him credit tonight, Farhan. I think he has really done a great job at using his feet at crucial times to either buy a little more time to throw the football, or in this case, to really make something happen. He sees the opportunity right here, and you know, out in front, he's got Joe McGrath, who has enough of a block to get him into the end zone untouched. But I think Ricky Ray's, you know, he hasn't had the greatest passing night tonight, but he's used his feet well to buy time, and you see the smile and relief on his face. I mean, here's a team that hasn't won on the road this year, and now all of a sudden they're 42 seconds away from their first road win, and their desperate playoff hopes still being kept alive.
Here's Ray again. It's a 4-play drive, 67 yards, and as you mentioned, he's bought himself time more than he's done things downfield in this game.
Yeah, he's done a good job with that, and you know, this is a great play. I mean, you know, this is one of those games that, you know, there's 42 seconds to go, and Saskatchewan's got time, but this is one of these games where Saskatchewan, I think, in the second half was lulled to sleep, and you know, they had this game in control, and Danny Barrett, if they go on to lose, is going to say, you know what, we really let one slip away. But Ricky Ray's credit, the road has not been a friendly place, and they've done enough things well in the second half. And, you know, keep in mind, Kerry Joseph got knocked out, so they've been going with Rocky Butler as a backup quarterback.
One thing you can say about Ricky Ray, no matter how bad things are, he never loses confidence, and he always battles.
Oh, he's a battler. He's an absolute warrior, and you know, like his coach says, you know, he loves having him when the game's on the line. And to his credit tonight, Pat Woodcock has made some big plays. Funny last few years for Woodcock. He's had some very good highs, and he's had an awful lot of lows. But tonight was a high with a touchdown catch and a big play to maybe win this football game.
42 seconds left is an eternity in the CFL, and at this point in the game, you have to wonder what's going on in the minds of the Edmonton Eskimo players, because they have blown so many late leads in so many tragic ways. Here's Grant with the return. Not much room, out to about the 25-yard line, and it's a 5-point lead, so the Riders need a touchdown here.
Well, great coverage by the Edmonton kickoff cover team, because, you know, just starting at the 25 is a tough chore, and Farhan, you hit the nail on the head. Edmonton has lost a lot of games, and there you see games that they have led after the third quarter and lost in the fourth. So they've been snake bit a few times. We'll see what their defense can do to hang on here and preserve this win.
And not included there is the play against the game against the Lions when they were down 2, had a very makeable field goal, blew the hold, just as heartbreaking, even though they didn't have a lead in that game. Now it's Rocky Butler's turn with 35 ticks left on the clock. He's got to go 85 yards to be the hero here in Regina. Butler steps up into the pocket, pulls the ball down. He's going to keep it close to first down yardage.
Well, Edmonton would just love to see him do that for about 3 more tries instead of trying to force the football downfield.
And he stays in bounds, and the clock's going to keep ticking here. Once the chains get set, gain of 9 on the play. 2nd and 1, but the Riders aren't thinking first downs at this point. They've got to get the ball downfield, Leaf.
Well, with 26 seconds to go, they've got, you know, 3, maybe 4 plays left, so they have to really start stretching this defense, and Edmonton is laying way off.
There's the completion up to Yo Murphy, out to the 46-yard line. That'll stop the clock. 15 seconds to go here.
So realistically, 2 plays to go in this game. So, you know, try to get 20, 25 on this one, and then take your shot at the end zone.
This time Saskatchewan takes their time out right here with 15 seconds to go.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, you know, because you get 2 shots. Because of the nature of the kind of balls you're going to have to throw, you're going to have to take, you know, 5-step drop or 7-step drop, and then take your shot downfield 25 yards at least, and then, you know, take another shot at the end zone. But it seemed like Saskatchewan had everything going in their favor, and then Kerry Joseph got hurt. And I just feel like the wind kind of came out of the sails, and, you know, it was the pass rush to Charbonneau, knee on knee right there. Joseph's out. And I just felt, I don't know about you, Farhan, I just felt like at that point in time, They just became a lackluster football team tonight and didn't overcome that injury. I mean, not that that's an easy one to overcome.
And it's not like Joseph was setting the world on fire during this game, but he's still their leader. He's still their starter. Now it's up to Rocky Butler with just a couple of plays left. Plenty of pressure right here. That pass knocked down by Steve Charbonneau. 10 seconds left.
So you may still have a chance for a couple more. And I'll tell you, this crowd here at Taylor Field, not many people are leaving. They still think that the Riders can come through and do it.
Well, you've got to remember the history between these two teams, especially when it comes down to Edmonton making the playoffs. In the 34-year stretch where Edmonton has made the playoffs, Saskatchewan has missed it 18 times. And the last time Edmonton was this close to missing was in 1999. Here's Rocky Butler again. Drops back, looks to the left. He's got Grant, and he is nailed after picking up the first down. Just 3 seconds to go. As I was saying, that year in 1999, Edmonton was 6-12, but they made the playoffs because they won 3 games that year against Saskatchewan. And they remember that here.
Well, they do remember it here. What they remember is Edmonton hasn't won here since 2001, and they're one play away from changing all of that.
Now this time, everybody's going to get back. No Milt Stiegel episode here where someone gets caught behind the coverage.
Well, Stiegel kind of split the coverage on that play. I mean, it wasn't like they were really out of position. They just didn't make the tackle, and we'll see what happens here.
Edmonton pressures with 4. Butler steps up, and he's going to be sacked. And Tico Dalton with the sack and the fumble. The play's still alive. Butler is going to rear back. He pitches now to Ken Keith. Keith still going. Keith still going with it. His throw is not over yet. They lateral it back, this time to Andy Fantuz. Fantuz laterals. This is a lateral. This play is still alive. It's Grant, and he throws it back to Ken Keith. Can it happen? No! Inside the 10-yard line.
And you know what, Farhan? Had Ken Keith kept his balance, he had an opportunity with 2 or 3 guys to his right to pitch it out. He had Armstead out there. Oh, my.
And that play will be on all the highlight shows tonight. And had it gone in, it would have been the most memorable play of this CFL season without question.
And there's players lying all over the field. So listen, here, you know, let's just let this one breathe a little bit. There's I mean, I think the ball should have been down there. I don't know why this play continued on, but however, here it goes. We should have music to this.
I'm just waiting for the band to come out from the end zone.
And I'll tell you, you know, Andy Fantuz ends up making a good play here because he gets way across the field. Now, you know what? At the end of this, now Keith's going to get it back here. Watch to the outside. He's got lots of, you couldn't see it there, but he had 3 players